Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running low. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running low. Keep running
All right, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to Risen Esports' Rampage Premade 2020. This is the fall season. Once again, my name is going to be Kyler Keita Tandle. Joining me on the desk today is going to be Ryan, Random Minion Caster Teo, and buddy, here we are. We're going to go right into pick and ban, hot and heavy. Here we are. We've got some bans on the table already.
Yeah, they're definitely going this really, really quickly. The Zillion and Vigar instantly coming out against Rebrand Kazban here on the red side, and both teams, I think for the first time or second time this split, will be sort of putting down their full starting roster here. Dirty Diet Lizard finally getting all 5 starters, as well as a Rebrand Kazban. I believe this will be the second time, so definitely going to be a very interesting matchup here between the two teams, finally getting their starting rosters here.
Yeah, it's always nice, you know, you've got the crew, you've got your friends, you guys have everybody that you originally wanted to sign up for playing the game, and right out the gate, I think we're just seeing a lot of comfort bans, a lot of the few, meta bans or things that we are seeing, right? The Yone off the table because nobody likes the new samurais. Yasuo, he's old news. Yone's the new hotness, and he's already getting taken away. But Dirty Dietary Lizards, they will pick up that buy, like you rightly said. So a lot of engage potential looking at it from there. But on the other side, Rebrand Kazban. gonna be taking up the Ashe Sejuani right out the gate. We've got a Freljord comp coming in for them.
Lots of lockdown already coming out from Rebrand Kazban. I like those picks. They're very safe early picks with the Caitlyn band as well. Yes, she got nerfed a little bit again this week, but she's still really, really strong. You take her off the table. The next Premier ADC, well, that's Ashe and Rebrand Kazban picking that one up right away. Interesting choice by Dirty Diet Lizard to go with that comfort pick for Mr. McCoss here on the Vi. He performed really well on it, so I think it's a solid pick. And the Jinx coming out in reply to the Ashe. So that's a pick that has become more and more prevalent here, I think, for ADCs. And I'm very excited to see that because it's really, really strong late game here.
Yeah, you definitely want to see it. Some team fighting. Looks like it's going to be the name of the game. Obviously, Dirty Diet Lizard is going to be a little bit more on the squishier side, so we'll see what else they round out their composition with. But if this is going to be a stand toe-to-toe type of deal, it looks like it is going to be the late game team fightings, or really is what both of these squads look like they're going towards. The Azir locked in means that, all right, you've got a solid backline damage source. Question now becomes, can they keep them alive long enough in these fights to really get this going, as the Morgana actually gets picked up by Rebrand Kazban.
Interesting choice here from Rebrand Kazban. Looks like they're just going for sort of safety in that bot lane. I think not a bad choice. Photography, Raptor, and Sad Lantern as a bot lane duo often do win out their lane straight up here. Not sure that we've seen Bad Driver on the Morgana, so we'll have to see how that one works out here. And just a lot of comfort picks for TDL. Azir, the most played champion for Bubba Gumps in Risen so far, as well as the buy for Mr. McCoss. And now the other bans coming through, it's going to be all tanks here. Maokai and Shen both being banned out. And I think this works out worse for DDL because they really need to get themselves that front line you mentioned here. So I'm expecting to see yet another tank ban come out from Rebrand Kazban.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at it, right, when you're looking at both teams looking the type of handshake out, right, these lanes, handshake, just the overall, we are looking for team fights. It's not a surprise to see the tanks come through. I am surprised to see DDL taking some of them off the table, although it isn't too surprising, I guess, when you see the Maokai taken away. Ornn still up on the table, keep that in mind, but overall, it looks like, okay, if they just go, what is this? Is this teamfight tactics? Are we watching a teamfight tactics game right now? Because if this Anivia gets locked in, they've got 3 of 4. You just need one more for that full synergy. You know, let's take it back to season 1. I am very surprised. It's not out of the wheelhouse. It's not too crazy to think about it. Hold on, give us 3 more seconds. All right, I have not been trolled. This is not a Glacial comp, but the Orianna gets locked in as a counter, or as more of a response, I think, to the Azir matchup.
Yeah, I'd have been really surprised if they did lock in the Anivia. Anivia not doing well into Azir at all. So, I mean, it would have been fun to watch, but yeah, the Orianna makes a lot more sense. You've got a great ball delivery system with the Sejuani. Now you've got a lot of AoE team fight potential from Rebrand Kazban. And is it going to be the Tahm Kench coming out? Yes, it is. Sad Lantern here. Interestingly enough, I believe it was Red Phoenix 50, the substitute for Dirty Diet Lizard, who's been playing a lot of Tahm Kench support. We'll have to see if Sad Lantern can do the same here. I really do like it, though. It creates a very safe environment for the Jinx, and they needed the tank. Well, here it is. In the top lane, Skelly P doesn't play necessarily a ton of tanks. Ornn is still available. We'll have to see if he does decide to pick that up, or whether he goes to something, there we go, a bit more damage-oriented, like that Aatrox.
Okay, so I mean, that's an interesting decision, right? I mean, if you're looking at it from the side of Dirty Diet Lizard, I mean, as a whole, yeah, the Tahm Kench gives you the safety to pick up and kind of take away your Jinx off the table, right, for a little while if the dive is coming in hard. But honestly, there isn't a big dive coming out, right? There's not like, this is a team composition from the side of Rebrand Kazban that they're going to look to dive onto your AD carry. I would have honestly, I think, liked to see an engage tool more than the safety of a Tahm Kench, right? I mean, looking at the Aatrox Vi, that is more, I think, how they're going to look to initiate fights, right? It's the Assault and Battery going in with the World Ender at the same time, the Bash Brothers type of deal, where they both run in and try to create as much chaos as they can for the team fight. But on the other side, right, Rebrand Kazban, they have, to me, a much more safer and a much more easier to execute composition when you're looking at this here, right? The Ornn getting locked in means that it's a very simple go button, right? Call the Forge God, or maybe just throwing out the Sejuani ultimate, right? That glacial, it's glacial something.
Glacial
just the ability, yeah, just the ability to push R, hit go and follow up with the shockwave and look at who you can pick off with that. Much easier to execute than, all right, Vi and Aatrox kind of got to juggle this aggro and maybe they'll be able to get out of the team fight alive.
So as you mentioned, Rebrand Kazban, very, very simple, easy to understand game plan. And that kind of cuts a little bit both ways because DDL, Dirty Diet Lizard, will know exactly what it is that Rebrand Kazban wants to do here. And one good thing for them is that there isn't actually a ton of dive here on the side of Rebrand Kazban. Yes, they've got great initiate with the Sejuani Glacial Prison, as you mentioned, with that Orin Horn, the Call of the Forged God, coming through for Ajax in that top lane. But even with those tools, they can't really sort of dive the backline. So as long as Photography Raptor and Bubblegums can sort of play safe a bit, split up, not both get caught at the same time, they can actually output a ton of damage. They do, however, however, have issues, as you mentioned, engaging Vi and Aatrox, both wanting to go in. But if Skelly P plays a little patient with the Aatrox there, he can sort of play a disengage role almost, because you'll now have to run into that world-ending Aatrox, which can be very, very difficult to get through as well. And I think on the side of Dirty Diet Lizards, rather than, say, playing for the mid-game team fights, I think they're looking more for lane advantages as well. Skelly P on this Aatrox can be very, very scary here. He can just dominate and win a lane here. Aatrox having a decent lane into the Ornn as well. Bubblegum's most played champion, the Azir, so very, very comfortable letting the game run long into these team fights. And at a late game, a 30-minute Jinx, a 30-minute Azir, well, that's a really, really scary sight to see. And without any backline access here from Rebrand Kazban, I think if the game runs long enough, DDL's backline will really come online and start winning them these team fights.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, these are not champions that you want to let get to 6 items, right? The Azir, the Jinx, like you mentioned, absolutely just crazy to kind of deal with. But actually, thinking about it, I mean, to me now, this puts a lot more pressure onto the jungler in Mr. McCoss, right? It gives him kind of almost that pressure to get them to the point, right, to the late game, get themselves out of that laning phase, and really abuse that early power spike that Vi has over the Sejuani, right? Sej, although, yes, has a pretty decent clear, has a pretty safe clear, it's really going to be up to Vi, I want to say, to get that advantage for at least his top laner, right? Aatrox into the Ornn matchup, you'd like to see him get a little bit ahead. You'd like to see him have a little bit of that priority into that lane so that as the game progresses, Aatrox can be that side lane split push factor, right? Or that threat, so to speak, to draw pressure away from the rest of the squad, to make it so that they can't necessarily engage the 4-on-4 without, losing something else on the other side of the map, or they have to overcommit resources from the side of Rebrand Kazban. Because on the other side, right, if we're looking at the win conditions for Rebrand Kazban, it's very simple. It's get out of lane, and get to that mid game, and force the skirmish, right? Force the 4-on-4, force the 5-on-5. Try to get as many people from Dirty Diet Lizards in the same place, so that maybe you can get something with your big team fight utility. Whereas on the other side, DDL, they've got an easy, this should be them getting out of the lanes relatively unscathed, and then looking for what else they can get from there.
I mean, Sejuani not known as the best early ganker, and it comes down a lot to team style as well. Dirty Diet Lizard does have fairly strong lanes. Photography Raptor and Sad Lantern usually win their bot lane without too much jungle assistance. Bubblegums can often carry his team, and you'll often see Mr. McCoss sort of camp the mid lane as well. So that's likely what we're going to see here. And what I would like to see is Mr. McCoss camping the top lane as well. Get Skelly P30 ahead. Like what you mentioned, you want the top lane to be that winning matchup for the Aatrox. And if they can do that, then they'll be in a really good position even come the mid game. So beginning of the game, I think a lot will come down to just the top lane. How does Ajax survive against Skelly P? And then come the mid game, it's going to be all about Rebrand Kazban. And it's a matter of closing the game out fast enough that they don't allow DDL to scale up too much. And a lot of it will also come down to that first dragon as well. I think Dirty Diet Lizard needs to be careful not to give up too many dragons, or we might see dragons, so Elder Drake, become a win condition for Rebrand Kazban, because despite the great scaling on Dirty Diet Lizard, you do not outscale an Elder Drake buff.
Yeah, I mean, that is also going to be something, a very key thing to keep your eyes on, right, is where does the dragons go early on, right? You would like to think with the Ashe Morgana that our Rebrand Kazban will be able to kind of push that wave in early. You'd like to think that they should be able to get some priority towards the bot side, but keep in mind, Jinx does a great job on her own at pushing out waves and stuff like that. But it's really going to be, I think, the tale of the junglers, as it kind of usually does end up being, where there isn't any crazy one-sided lane to look to. Even in the Aatrox versus Ornn matchup, not too crazy there. So, Dragons, like you said, that Elder Drake buff towards the end, how quickly can the side of Dirty Diet Lizards really push the tempo to get to that point where, all right, they've got dragons on the table, they've got a potential Elder Soul or just a potential Dragon Soul on the table for themselves before they can start looking to make plays around the rest of the map. But overall, I think we're not looking at anything too crazy. So going into this one, as we head into the delay, as we get ready to go into kind of that loading screen, that little bit of anticipation before the match, random casting or random minion caster, who do you think has the better comp here?
Rebrand because Band got a better drop, better ease of execution. But having seen these teams play in the past, I'm actually thinking that game one will sort of set the stage. If DDL can win with this composition, and they actually might be able to because they're really strong laners, I think that is going to set the tone for this best of 3 today here.
Yeah, we'll have to see what else can come out, as this is, like you said, a best of 3. So we are guaranteed at least another draft coming out of this one. But with that said, folks, don't go anywhere. When we come back, game number 1 between Dirty Diet Lizard and Rebrand Cuz Band. You guys will not want to miss anything. We'll be right back.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear. Driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back here to game number 1 between Dirty Diet Lizard and Rebrand Cuzban. Once again, my name is K-Tad. Joining me on the desk is Random Minion Caster. And buddy, here we go. We're in onto the Rift. How you feeling?
Pretty good so far. Hoping for a level 1, but probably not going to see it. And that being said, just want to draw attention to Bubblegums here. Running that lethal tempo here on the Azir. Interesting choice from him. Looks like he's going for those late game massive team fights where you can just get more spears stabbing there.
Yeah, I mean, interesting to see. You would only expect to see that when you're pretty much saying, yep, we are not going to do anything in the mid game. We are just going to scale and wait for the late game to come around. And that at some point, I'm going to have so many soldiers just kind of sticking their spears at you super fast. And we're just going to go really high on that attack speed that everyone's just going to die, which is, I guess, the same philosophy for the Jinx having lethal tempo. But yeah, overall, I think I hope not, but it feels like this is going to be more of a scaling composition, right? Both teams saying we want to get out of the laning phase, we want to get out of the mid game so that we can all fight as 5 and have these really explosive team fights as the game goes on.
Yeah, as you said, I really hope that doesn't mean a boring early game. That being said, with Mr. McCoss on the Vi, running that Hill of Blades, I am hopeful for a very heavy ganking Vi. We'll have to see here. He did start bot side. Both junglers actually starting the bot side. So we might potentially see a gank on that top side here. And if it's the Vi starting that up, we might actually see an early first blood. We'll have to see how that one goes when it finally comes through.
Yeah, I definitely want to keep an eye on these junglers. Like we talked about, the full clear expected, I think, from the side of Toaster Fryer as basically, you want to be as a Sedge, you just want to clear your jungle out as most efficiently as you can, right? The pressure is not on you to get the ganks across and is rather on the other side, Mr. McCoss, who is the one who has to make some type of moves across the map. But let's take a look at something here because although not as an exciting point for the side of this minion, but look at this. Both 80 carries electing to start the call. I don't know if that is the most signaled to me that this is a handshake agreement down in the bottom lane, both sides saying we're not going to fight. We're just here to farm.
For sure. And that's one of the things about the call there. That's an investment. And if one side starts a call, but top side actually, the guy coming through now.
Here we go. Yeah, gank from Mr. McCoss comes out. He's forcing out the early flash from Ajax. And that means that is a good start for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. But we'll have to see what else they can come back with, if they can get the repeat gank off, or if it's going to mean much, because that wave is definitely shoving towards the top side. And oh no, here comes the flash Q coming right back in. First blood comes out for Mr. McCoss. He gets that one. They prove that the return gank comes out to be successful.
Thank you, Mr. McCoss. That's what I was expecting from his Hill of Blades Vi. This is why he's been such a threat on this Vi. That's why it gets banned against him sometimes, because it's extremely influential in the early game. Got so much agency, and he can start swinging the game. So that's a really great start for Skelly up there. And we do see the teleport being burnt immediately from Ajax to get back into the lane so he doesn't miss too much CS. He misses about a wave, but that's not too bad for an Ornn who can just build items in the lane. And going back to the point that you raised about the culls there, it's an investment. So when you see the Jinx there with the Tahm Kench, Monomania and Bad Driver know that they're probably not going to get a kill. And in order to not fall behind, they might be able to bully a bit better in the early game, but they'll fall behind if they don't invest as well. That's why we're seeing double culls come out from both sides here. Both sides trying to just get into the arms race to get their items as quick as they can. And unfortunately, like you said, that probably means the bot lane's a handshake. We're not going to see a ton of action most likely down there in the immediate future. But as I say that, Tosafar is in the area looking for that scuttle.
Yeah, in the area, I think the contest over this now comes down as Real Mao Drew. He's already the first one to rotate, as Mr. McCoss might have to get out of this one. Remember, he has no flash, but the bottom lane has grouped up. They are on a chase. It's a 3-on-4 potentially, as the flash comes out from both the mid and the jungler. Everybody getting the heck out of dodge pretty much from that fight, as Mr. McCoss goes down and the kills get shifted out. Oh no, Sad Lantern might have picked the wrong path back to his lane, as Toaster Fire and Bad Driver wanted to pick him off. Not going to be able to do it, and that means for now, the Scuttler is going over to the side of Rebrand Cuzban.
Yeah, and that they also now have control over that dragon side. First dragon going to be that mountain drake, not necessarily the most influential, probably the least important of the single drakes, but it looks like they're not going to go for it. Instead, bad driver now getting caught out.
Oh, wait a minute. There goes the black shield, so they'll save out onto the eat right now, waiting for it to go off, but no! Sad Lantern mistimes that ability, and that means Bad Driver does get to walk that one out. And a little bit unfortunate, had a, the slight mechanical misplay causes that one to not go their favor. But look at this, Mr. McCoss. He's being a little sneaky boy in the bush over here.
Us wrong. He wants to make some action happen down here, and the heal already used by Monomania. That won't be available for this gank, and kind of low mana too.
Oh, here we go. The slow comes out as now the flash is available for both of them, and he's going to flash out. Photography Raptor wants to get that kill. A few more auto attacks would do it, but instead, no. They don't get him, whereas on the top side, it's a kill going down from Ajax as he picks up that one. That's a lot of summoners burned down bot, but overall, no kills traded over, just the one in the top.
And it was actually really good here on the top side for Ajax. Him getting that kill there is absolutely massive because he needs to make sure he doesn't fall too far behind in the beginning. He needs to come out at least even for the team fights. And the fact that he can still do that, first of all, shows you how ridiculously broken Ornn still is, basically still doing the assassination plays up there, as well as just meaning that he'll be able to handle this lane safer. Already now has the Bramble Vest as well, and Skelly P did actually pick up a cull, it looks like, on his first back there, so interesting choice. He got first blood, and instead of using that for lane advantage, he decided to go for investments instead, so definitely looks like Dirty Giant Lizard going very heavily, indexing very heavily for that late game here.
This is one of those moments where you know that meme with the guy, he's got the graph behind him. It's the meme where it says stonks on the picture. I think that's what Skelly P was trying to imagine himself as. Like, I'm gonna outbrain him. I'm gonna just get the farm. I'm gonna get ahead. But little does he realize that by doing so, it creates a situation where he is not actually stronger than his lane opponent, right? Even though they got the first advantage, the Ornn with the Bramble Vest will be a little bit stronger than the Aatrox with the Cull, as we are seeing it right now. Yes, he gets some damage down, but Ajax should be able to kind of just sustain through that with the Doran shield. So overall, I mean, questionable decision-making, I want to say, from the side of Skelly P. A little bit greedy. We'll have to see if he's able to make it work after the Cull comes out, but just look at that. The trade comes down from Ajax. He's going to get pulled right back in. Currently, the health bars are traded to equal, but keep in mind, the Ornn will be able to re-heal over this because of the fact that he's got a Doran shield. The Aatrox will have to get some auto attacks down if he wants to lifesteal through it.
The thing I'm watching very closely right now is that Call of the Forge God. The cooldown on that almost up, and once that's up, he can basically take away 40% of Skelly P's health with one full rotation there. So Skelly P gonna have to be really careful. It is back up now. The World Ender is probably gonna be all the difference here.
Yeah, World Ender is available. It actually might look like he wants to go in, but once he gets the ultimate out, Ajax says thank you very much and backs away from that one. It's now down to the bot side. Black Shield gets used. There is no Assault and Battery available for Mr. McCoss, so it looks like it's just going to be a lot of damage traded back. Sad Lantern just eats up his jungler to make sure he doesn't take too much damage in the trade. But that will be a Summoner Spell burned off of the Asher there. Monomania will not be very happy that he had to burn his flash there.
Not at all, and just as his heal was about to come off cooldown not too long from now, his flash is now gone, but mid lane...
Ooh, Bubba Gumps hits him with the shuffle. Real Madru gonna take a turret shot, has to get a couple more auto attacks, but actually, wait a minute, the ball is still there. Bubba Gumps will get the slide to pick up that kill at the end of it all. The 1v1 outplay burns the flash, but gets the kill in the end.
I guess that lethal tempo coming in handy early here. Great Shurima shuffle coming out of him in that mid lane, but the dragon is started up by Toasterfire, and now we're having a face-off here between the two junglers.
Yeah, both junglers kind of just sitting in the river. They're just hanging out. They're vibing. They're having a good time here. That's a nice slow from Photography Raptor. Now that actually does get them pressure coming up from the bottom side. If you wanted to go for the dragon, now would be the time. Is actually Skelly P forces out the flash from Ajax on the top side. Not what you want to see if you're the Ornn, but this should mean that he'll have some gold to kind of back and get a little bit more of those tank stats to maybe make himself ready for that next dragon fight, especially with that TP coming up in just a little bit.
And the amount of action, there's only been 2 kills apiece on either side thus far.
Ooh, Toasterfire backs on a ward and gets taken down. The flash, assault, and battery, everything but the kitchen sink gets thrown in. And now that is definitely a dragon for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard.
This dragon has had a longer lifespan than we expected. They haven't really been able to take it. It finally will go down now here to the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. The early smite, the nice sidestep to make sure the arrow didn't explode and potentially look to steal that one. Good for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard because they are the scaling team there. So even though Mountain Drake not that valuable early, late game it does show a bit more strength once you do have a couple more resistances on your side there. So really solid for them in top.
Here we go. The team fight comes down. World Ender goes out. The knockup is there. Skelly P forced to just back up towards his turret as actually he dashes back. He might look to try and turn this around. Actually, the damage is there. The slow will not connect too much, but instead, Skelly P just backs up, takes the kill. But now looking at this, he wants to go for the dive, and Ajax just hits him with the pillar and says thank you very much and locks that one out. Unfortunate for the Aatrox.
And the grasp of the Undying there was it procced and did a ton of damage. Surprisingly, I think caught everybody a little bit by surprise. An extra 177 damage. It looks like to champion. So definitely a bit of burst, and that will free them up to take the Herald here. So all the objectives right now going the way of Dirty Diet Lizard. Pardon me. But Bubblegum's.
Yeah, this might be a little bit of an overcommit here from Bubblegums here. Forces the shuffle back, instead gets the shield, and actually, wait a minute, he finds the first kill onto Ajax. The Super Mega Death Rocket will not connect. Bubblegums, it will be forced out of that one, but meanwhile, Mr. McHaas has now joined the fight. A new challenger approaches. The big brain play here coming out for Social Fire will not be able to get the Rift Herald, but instead the smite goes down as now here comes the Aatrox as well. Dive down in the bot side is also going to come across as Photography Raptor would like to pick up the Ash. He will get it. And because they juggle that aggro just ever so slightly, they will force it out. But now up in the top side, actually Skelly P, because of his ability to get some damage down, he might be able to delay them from even picking up the Rift Herald. As now the rest of the squad will be forced to back away. Skelly P wanting to just get out of this one, but meanwhile, Real Madru did TP back forward. Now the TV comes down for Bubblegums in the top side. They are just playing with fire up here, and it looks like everyone will finally get the... No, actually, they re-engage. What is going on? Bubblegums goes right back in. Now he's getting some damage down onto Ajax, as the rest of the squad has been just playing around in this top side, while the bot turret will drop. First brick for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. Everyone, after all of that chaos, only a few kills traded, but that's about it.
And it isn't over yet.
We're not done. All right. They say we still want to keep going. We still want to fight. Bad Driver just trying to sit in the wings, maybe looking to throw out a binding, but the Call of the Forge God does not mean anything else. No more other kills come across. It's ambitious, right? It's ambition going for kills, but unfortunately, nobody dies.
Welcome to Risen's Rampage, where the fighting never stops.
He's gone. Ajax overstays, Bubblegums and Skelly P turn it back around. I think you call that one a yikes in chat, because Ajax thought for sure he could just stay and farm, but instead they say, nah, we'll just take your life and we'll take your plates up in the top side.
The fight went on so long. Everybody was going back. You'd think that normally everybody would have just reset at the point, but that 5-head play there from Skelly P, refusing to let it go. They do finally take down Ajax. He is that sacrificial lamb for his team. Does end up finally going down, and now Bubblegums might have overstayed.
Oh, Bubblegums wanted the plates. Actually, Glacial Prison will miss. Meanwhile, in the bot side, Monomania tries to flash out, but you can't flash away from the assault and battery. There goes the stun. But remember, Vi has so many abilities to get her in range. There goes the Super Mega Death Rocket, picks up the kill. And that means now, Dirty Diet Lizard comfortably in the gold lead here at the 14-minute mark. The plates have just fallen off, but overall, I think they're happy with the way this game has played out.
I mean, they are in a comfortable lead right now. 3,500 gold up across the team.
Oh, Shockwave comes down. Yeah, Real Madru wants to get that kill onto him. Forces the flash out of Photography Raptor. That is a big summoner to lose, but with Dragon spawning in 40 seconds, they will have time to reset.
Yeah, they won't be able to get much off necessarily forcing Photography Raptor back. If he doesn't overstay here, should be just fine. And yeah, so DDL up in a good position, and it actually was Rebrand Kazban who wanted to play a bit passive in the early game. You had Mr. McCoss looking for plays, and they were doing so well. Right before the chaos started, we were talking about how it was only 2-2 right there in the kill score, and that's actually a win for Rebrand Kazban because they just want to go for that mid game, and now the binding lands.
Ooh, this is good chunks, good damage out onto the Tom Kench right now. Sad Lantern wanting to get out. They do force out the shuffle. As actually, no, Real Madrid still going for it. Auto attacks go out. That phase rush paying dividends right now. Shockwave comes down as well, and that means Bubblegums will drop. So 2-0. And with the Cloud Drake on the table, this should be second Drake going over to the side of Rebrand Kazban.
That Shockwave, that was one full rotation. We just saw it being used on Photography Raptor about a minute ago, and next thing you know, we see Bubblegums end up going down once again to that. And Dirty Diet Lizards have to respect the AoE, the strength of the team fight coming out here from Rebrand Kazban here. And with that, they pull themselves even in kills, even in terms of dragons as well. They're just down CS effectively right now. And the dragons that went out, it's going to be the Cloud this time to Rebrand Kazban, and that's going to be huge for them because they play around their ultimates so much. A 10% cooldown reduction on their ultimates means 10% more fights, 10% more wins for Rebrand Kazban in these massive 5v5s here.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at such big push R abilities, right? Shockwave, Glacial Prison into the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, just overall, Call of the Forge God, right? The list goes on and on as to how much benefit these guys get from Cloud Drakes. But that will not be the case as we are onto the relaxing Summoner's Rift right now in the Ocean Drake, the Ocean Rift. As Shockwave goes down again, we were just talking about it. Real Madrid always willing to push the R button, as it looks like he will just force out Photography Raptor to get eaten up by his Tom Kench. But overall, yeah, let's take a minute, right? Because now 16 minutes in, we're officially out of laning phase. Let's get some stock as to what's going on around the map in terms of items, because the calls have been finished, and some of these first items are now up in play. As beautiful eat by Sad Lantern, but not going to mean much.
Yeah, Devour actually saving Photography Raptor that Glacial Prison had landed. We might have seen him go down. And taking stock of the items here, as you mentioned, the Luden's Echo coming through for Real Madrid is huge, actually. It was already completed with the Haunting guys as well. Means that when that Shockwave lands, if he holds it a little bit longer, gets a couple bit more stacking there, he can do tons of damage. Look at what he did to Photography Raptor with just a command move and dissonance there. He's already low. And I mean, it's just so dangerous right now for Photography Raptor, who has completed the Infinity Edge as well as the Cloak of Agility. So he's up against Monomania right now. Right now, if you can kill Photography Raptor, Rebrand Kazban wins. But if Photography Raptor stays alive in these team fights, he can continue to pump out the damage. And you are looking at Rebrand Kazban to try and play around this small advantage they have with the Sunfire Cape completed on Ajax, with the Cinder Hulk on Toastfire. Their tanks are online. Monomania a little bit behind right now in terms of the item war, but Real Madrid is more important in these fights. So they have a lead and they need to start pushing it right now, winning these fights, getting objectives. Herald is up, so I am expecting to see either a top side or mid lane play. If they get a kill, go for Herald and try and make a play from there. First Herald went down and nobody picked up the eye. So the first Herald was actually wasted. Hopefully this second one won't be, and they've got about a minute and a half left before it despawns and Baron comes up instead.
Yeah, so far they are just keeping everyone to the side waves, or just in general pushing out the waves right now. Wave management is a big thing. You have to keep in mind you want the waves in a favorable position. As actually, wait a minute, Bubblegums goes right in onto Monomania. Assault and Battery is going to go down. That should be the Ash falling, and with that kill, that does open up this top side of the map. Bubblegums should be able to get the turret, as now Toaster Fire wants to re-engage, but both of them hop out with their mobility abilities. And that means the rest of the squad now just going to clear the wave, push the turret. Tom Kench up here to support it. And that should be the second tower now for Dirty Diet Lizard to come out for them after all of that.
Yeah, we were talking about looking topside or midside for a player. And honestly, I was thinking Rebrand Kazban would be the ones to make the move there. But it turns out instead it's Dirty Diet Lizard pulling the trigger first, and they'll get that turret as well as most likely this Herald for their troubles here. As we do see the Abyssal Voyage come out just to get Photography Raptor a little bit quicker, and should be easy pick up here. And this time they make sure they do pick up the Eye of the Herald. So we'll have to see where they opt to drop it. That mid lane tier 1 turret still standing and super healthy, because Real Madrid has been doing a spot on job so far, clearing waves and making sure Bubba Gump did not get alone time with that turret.
Yeah, worth noting though, it might have been an awkward back time for the side of Real Madrid. He backs. Oh, okay, there we go. TP's back in, but with all 5 members here and the Rift Turret going down, I've got to wonder if this is a hopeless siege right now. As right now they are going to try to hold it off. Toaster Fire goes in, but now that turret is going to drop. Photography after looking like he wants to go back in, but that's a huge glacial prison. It forces them back off as now they might force onto Sad Lantern. He will get dropped. World Ender gets used by Skelly P. The flash forward coming out from Ajax as they want to get some damage out, but the shuffle is there. The damage is there. Can Photography have to get the reset? The answer is no, because the Shockwave picks him off. Assault and Battery onto Bad Driver. They are trying to dive towards Real Madrid in the backline, and it looks like that will be the call. The triple kill for the Aatrox. Can he pick up more? It's not going to be the Quadra, but it will be the kill. Actually, I spoke too soon. Quadra kill for Skelly P on the Aatrox. He picks it up with the ace as they move up mid.
And Skelly ending worlds here for the side of Rebrand Kazban, doing an excellent job. It looked like he was going to get caught out after Satlander got caught out, but the damage just got split here from Rebrand Kazban. Real Madrid, Monomania looking to find that vulnerable back line, and they actually did manage to burst down Photography Raptor almost right away when that fight started, but Bubba Gums was still alive, and that's the thing. Bubba Gums and Photography Raptor both excellent at putting out damage in extended fights. And so they do manage to keep Bubba Gums alive. Between him and Skelly P, they win the fight, they get the ace, they get the Quadra, and now they pick up an Ocean Drake to their name as well. So they're that one step closer to getting the Ocean Soul on an already very, very scary late game composition, which is starting to come online, especially with that Runans now completed here for Photography Raptor and the Gnasher's Tooth for Bubba Gums coming out as well.
Yeah, absolutely wild fight there coming out of all of that. And it's something we talked about, right? That dive team, the Bash Brothers kind of looking idea. And that was critical for Skelly P. All 4 kills picked up for him in that fight. He's going to be that much closer to his death stance. And with his call finish, now the cash in is there. And now he has a chance to become this side wave threat. We will expect to see him go up towards that top side. And there shouldn't really be anybody that can potentially kind of hold off against him, as we are going to see him try to go for the 1v1 against Real Madrid, see how he plays this one. Shockwave pulls him back, but that might not be enough, looking for the knockup. And instead, Skelly P misses more or less everything with that phase rush getting popped. He will not take the fight, but scary, scary prospect now for the Aatrox.
Yeah, and they can run the 1-3-1 very effectively here on the side of Dirty Diet Lizard right now, because no one can really handle Skelly in the 1v1, and they can't really handle Bubblegums either.
Ooh, they engage right onto Sad Lantern. The arrow goes forward, but now Photography Raptor, he wants more, and he's going to find it. There's the Super Mega Death Rocket, finds the first one. Toaster Fire forced to flash out, but actually, wait a minute, the Black Shield will save his life, if only just barely, as they are not done. Here comes the Tom Kench. They're going to look to dive right onto the turret. Photography Raptor trying to get some shots down. They will not get any lockdown onto Sad Lantern in return. But all of that burn just for the kill. It's going to be an early way for them to push their way towards bot.
It looked so good on the side of Rebrand Kazban. Initially, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow coming up, but unfortunately, just no way to finish off Sad Lantern quick enough there to Tom Kench. The double now Magic Mantle as well to make sure he doesn't get insta-burst by Real Madrid. And we're once again seeing topside Skelly P trying to...
Here we go. Skelly P 2v1. Shockwave pulls him back, looking for the damage. He does have World Ender up, but that means with so many people on the top side, he just gets shut down.
And I mean, I did say 1-3-1 is the way Dirty Diet Lizard kind of wants to play this right now, but Skelly P has to make sure he doesn't overstay his welcome there when he saw Bad Driver.
Oh, Ajax is a little bit in the wrong neighborhood. That turret is not as safe as you think it is. And that means Sad Lantern will pick up the kill onto him, but the rest of the squad, they traded back. Top laner for top laner goes down, and that means the rest of the squad will just back off. Dragon not going to be on the map for a while, but they get a consolation blue buff.
Right now for Ajax, he has to be careful. He has no magic resistance. Oh, there we go. He just picked up a Negatron cloak. But before this, he had 0 magic resistance there. So Bubblegum's just shredding right through him. You saw how quickly he went down under his turret there. And that's not to mention crits from Photography Raptor coming out. Picked up another Cloak of Agility. So he's sitting pretty with a ton of critical chance as well here. 70% actually right now. So that's what 7 out of 10 shots are going to crit. And he's going to do a ton of damage. And right now, DDL sitting pretty in the driver's seat. Up 5,000 gold at 25 minutes. It's looking dire here for Rebrand Kazban. And I think against this 1-3-1, they're not going to be able to handle the sideways pushing. Sure, you can send Real Madrid with anyone else to try and maybe take down Scully P, but you lose so much elsewhere. I think they need to start forcing their fights here as a 5, find the 3, kill all 3, and play on the objectives. Baron is now on the table, and Rebrand, because Ban certainly doesn't want to do it, but they need to make sure that they can try and stop DGL from doing it, and maybe catch them out and try and turn the tides there, because right now they're not going to win any even number fight on open ground.
Yeah, I mean, really, that is the rough thing about this composition, right? When you're looking at the team comp that Rebrand cuz Band pulled out, you are expecting to say that you are going to play from at least even footing, right? That your tank line, because of the fact that you have a Morgana support and because of the fact that you pick Orange Sejuani, you will be a little bit slower on that damage threat, right? You know, when we look at it here, they're not necessarily a great sustained DPS team, right? You are looking for these big kind of ultimate combo plays with the shockwave into the rest of the CC ults. And unfortunately for them, because they were not able to necessarily come out of that lane completely unscathed, it creates this weird situation where now, yes, they are relegated to just sitting back, farming it out, hoping that they can find the picks. But if you think about it, they do have a composition that can look for picks, right? They got to try, and they've been trying, but just a little bit unsuccessful here and there. Toaster Fire would like to, they're positioning like they want to go for this dragon. Oh, no. Okay, Photography Raptor gets out of that one. Mr. McCox goes forward. TP's coming down, has now called the forward god around the backside. It will only knock up the 5, keep that in mind. But now Bubblegums has joined the fight. They're looking like they want to go down onto Monomania. Glacier Prison in the backline onto Photography Raptor, but they don't kill the Jinx. So that means now the shuffle will just force them out. It's now here comes Skelly P. He's going to flash right down into the back line. Super Mega Death Rocket not going to connect on too much, but it doesn't matter. The triple kill for the Azir as he picks up that one almost out of nowhere. The re-engage might be overstaying as they lose another member there, but that is a 3-for-2 rather, and actually 3-for-3 because Photography Raptor barely gets out of that one as now they're going to look to keep everyone entertained in the mid lane. Bubblegums goes forward, trying to get the kill onto Real Madrid. There will be the crit. It will get taken down around the backside. Ajax will go down, but that does mean it is the 3rd dragon now for Dirty Diet Lizard.
And these teams just don't quit until everyone is dead. Almost a replay of 10 minutes ago when they made it the top side where the fight was extended. People just kept coming back in. And I think MVP of that fight was Sad Lantern. No question there. Like you said, Photography Raptor, it looked so bad for him for a second there when he turned that corner blind into 3 members of Rebrand because banned. But Sad Lantern, perfect timing, bails him out. The Devours are on point this game. And frankly, this Tom Kench pick here from the side of Dirty Diet Lizards single-handedly has pretty much disabled Rebrand Kazban's composition here. They, as you said, they were looking for pick after pick. They were looking for engage after engage, but they can never seem to find the priority targets. And a lot of that is, first of all, good positioning from Bubblegums and Photography, but it's also great devours from Sad Lantern. So anytime they do actually get caught out, anytime, say, Ajax manages to find the backline or Toasted Fire finds the backline, they get devoured, they get saved, and then they can just continue outputting the damage there. So right now, they sort of need to find the target where Sad Lantern can't protect them, or they need to be able to burst down Sad Lantern. And for now, it doesn't look good for them.
Whoa! Bubblegums goes right in with the shuffle there. He's going to get stunned up, but Sad Lantern on the backside will eat him up, as now Bad Driver already going to be in a rough spot. He's going to get dropped. The 3-man knockup from the Call of the Forge God, but the rest of the squad is turning back around. They cancel the TP actually from the side of Real Madrid, and now that is the go button. Photography Raptor looking for the crits, will get the first kill, but gets locked up by the Glacial Prison. The other 2 members still just trying to hold the line against the turret, but that will not mean much safety for them as the rest of the squad is available. They could look to dive this, they could look to go for a little bit more. Photography Raptor was tanking it for just a second, but this means Dirty Diet Lizard, they are going to move right towards the Baron.
This is not a team that struggles to take turret. This is not a team that struggles to siege. So giving them Baron just means it'll be that much easier, and Real Madrid will no longer be able to effectively clear. And oh, are they setting something up here?
Toaster Fire has stepped into the wrong neighborhood. This is not your jungle anymore, my friend, as he is trying to just sustain his way up. But actually, they might have overstayed themselves, as now the re-engage comes down. There's the shuffle, there's the damage, as now Photography Raptor just trying to get out, but the AoE is strong. Finally, Bad Driver is the last man standing, and Channel Cristodaro will just whiff a little bit to the left from hitting the Jinx there. But overall, it looked a little scary for Dirty Diet Lizard, but they managed to sneak out the team fight.
And you can almost see the clench from Photography Raptor there as the Enchanted Crystal Arrow just barely missing, almost grazing him there. And again, they have the people they need to take this Baron. And the other thing to keep in mind was that fight was effectively a 4v5. Skelly was just pushing that bot lane the entire time, did not bother to join the rest of his team while they were fighting. And that just shows you how strong Dirty Diet Lizard is, and they will be able to shred this down. It's going to take a little longer because there is no sort of percent health shred here. No Blade of the Ruined King from Photography Raptor. The Leandries is on Bubba Gumps, who's dead. That being said, they will be able to get it onto Bubba Gumps as well. He has respawn Mega Super Death Rocket. Woo!
I was just about to say I like the idea, although I think it's very very optimistic that Bad Driver was hoping to maybe go for a steal or something, sticking around the area, but unfortunately overstays a little bit too long, gets hit with the combo and goes down. But overall, yeah, now with the Baron buff in tow, this is the game, or this is the way for Dirty Diet Lizard to end the game, right? They've got the power, they've got the team fight, they just need to go in. And honestly, credit to Bubba Gumps for just these absolutely fearless engages all throughout this game. The man just is not afraid to go in, shuffle everyone back into the rest of his team just to start the fight.
This is kind of one of the reasons why you see Azir banned against Bubba Gump sometimes. And pretty much when it's not banned, he's got a better than 50% chance that he's going to pick it and play it here. And this is precisely why. Very, very scary. 8-4-9 right now. And you look at Photography Raptor, he's 9-1-8, has picked up the QSS as well now. So even if he doesn't get devoured, he can still cleanse any CC onto him. That's going to be that much harder. And that's already showing you also that Rebrand Kazban, they have no way to access the backline easily. And the only way there is to basically burn health. They might find something
here. Here we go. They're going to go right on to Photography Raptor there, but he gets eaten up by the Tahm Kench. Now the re-engaged fight, the shuffle goes back, and Toaster Fire trying to get out of there. Bad Driver will go down. There's the crits. It's massive from the Jinx, but the Shockwave comes through. Real Maju wants to get onto the back line there. Is he going to try to slow him up? Toaster Fire will get dropped, but that means it is a, flash forward from Bubba Gumps actually to finish that one out. That's 4 members down in only exchange for the bottom side, but Dirty Diet Lizard gets the push.
Yeah, I mean, I feel so bad for Real Madrid this game. He's been an absolute monster here for Rebrand Kazban, finding those Shockwave time after time after time. Like you said earlier in the game, like 20 minutes ago, he's not afraid to pull that trigger, but we might see something else up top.
Yeah, Ajax, I think, just trying to clear the wave with Call of the Forge God, but not going to be able to do much more. The bottom lane is spawning up in about 3 seconds. They are alive. They can try to get back into the game. And it looks like, actually, they might have overstayed. Binding lands onto Skelly P, as now the rest of the squad is in tow. He's just trying to get out of dodge, but the Crystal Arrow will connect along with another Binding. Bad Driver hits 2 of them in a row and says, thank you very much. Thanks for the kill. And they walk on out of that one. Ash, 2 kills on the board. Finally, getting some gold.
Yeah, they get a kill, which is great, but the problem's at what cost? Because that is Soul right here being taken right now. And the Ocean Soul, no less, often considered the most influential.
No. Toaster Fire gets pushed right on back to his squad. Meanwhile, though, Bubba Gumps, because he went for the shuffle play, Real Madru sits there and says, thank you very much, and picks up that one.
Yeah, and if Rebrand Kazban is to come back into the game, it's going to be off plays like that, where Bubba Gumps gets a little too hypey there. He just needed to put up that the Emperor's Divide to cut off the entrance, but instead he went in aggressively looking for the shuffle, looking to try and find a kill. He does manage to secure his team, the Ocean Soul, though. His death distracting everyone from it, so that's great. That's permanent. But he does, unfortunately, gift over a huge bounty there over to Real Madru. And Real Madru right now almost full build here, just waiting to complete that last item. Most likely, I suspect, going to be a Void Staff coming out with that blasting wand. We'll have to see. But yeah, Real Madru right now in a very, very solid position. Actually, more gold than Bubba Gumps here. And he's already done so much to try and get his team back into the game, but he'll have to do more yet if they're trying to win this game 1 here.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to be the call, right? If you're on the side of Rebrand Kazban, it's got to be that you're looking to make a play off of that Shockwave, right? You've got the composition for it. You've got the characters for it, right? The champions in the game. You have the ability to say, all right, I'm going to put the ball on the sedge, go in, let's look for a massive burst play onto them. Or you wait onto it and you say, all right, when they engage into us, we're going to use this Shockwave defensively. But that's got to be your damage, right? That's got to be the burst. That's got to be the potential. because that is your main, that is the most fed member they've got. He's got all the gold. He's level 18. This is the man to watch. And unfortunately, if he dies early, it is going to be disaster for Rebrand Kazban.
And the problem is right now, he's their only damage source. Monomania is so
Look
far
at
behind
that.
right now.
Woo.
That's half health and not even the shockwave user. If he used the shockwave, they might actually have been able to pick something up. But yeah, that's really scary for Photography Raptor for sure. The QSS, the little bit of magic resist it gives, not doing anything against that combo at all.
Well, Skelly P wanting to engage here is now Call of Forge God. They're going to try to engage onto the Aatrox, but is that the target they want? It's a split fight, 2 on the left, 3 on the right, as now the rest of the squad re-engages. They go right down onto Monomania, and he's going to go down. Remember, Real Madrid still has that shockwave available if they overcommit, but it looks like the answer is going to be no. For now, they'll take their 2 picks, and they'll just be happy with it. But with no minion wave, the rest of the squad just going to move right up the mid lane to take this mid inhibitor. That should be that, and that is theirs. For the side of Dirty Diet Lizard, they are looking like they want to end off of this.
Yeah, got supers pushing in that top side as well. 2 supers up there as well, so they certainly have the front line to do it.
Yeah, they have the minions now. They just need to be careful because that shockwave is available now. Real Madrid just going to get some health and maybe that movement speed, trying to get the home guard up as Toaster Fire goes in, looking to just kind of push them off of the turret. But for now, he is taking a lot of damage. Keep in mind, Skelly P's on the right side. Ajax trying to get some damage out. Super Mega Death Rocket will miss. The shuffle will go wide as well. But they are trying to end the game. Real Madrid still has shockwave as he tries to pull them all in. He will get them out, but that is not going to be enough as game number 1 goes to Dirty Diet Lizard.
Yeah, and this was a little bit what I was concerned about here when you asked me who I thought had the better draft, Keaton. I hesitated a little bit and kind of said that I thought Rebrand Kazban got the better draft, but I kind of thought it was actually going to be DDL winning game 1 here, and this is precisely why. The bot lane Photography Raptor is just so strong as a laner here, and Monomania actually ends that game with about a 5,000 plus gold difference between him and Photography Raptor. 5,000 gold is a huge difference when we talk about teams at 30 minutes. And then when you talk about one specific player being behind his counterpart, that's just a frightful number to really think about there. That's really scary. And that was kind of what I was a bit talking about right before that last fight, was that Monomania is so far behind. Real Madrid is doing so much work for the team. He's doing so much damage, but he can't do it alone. And the only other damage threat is Monomania. And when he's that far behind, what can Rebrand Kazban do?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when you're looking at that, that was Real Madrid trying to say, everyone, get in my backpack, get on my back, I will try my best. And unfortunately for them, the composition needed to have at least 2 damage threats. Like you're talking about, Monomania needed to get back into the game somehow. They needed him to have some items under his belt. They needed him to get some damage down. And unfortunately for them, he was just not able to come online. And when you're looking at a single damage threat, and when that single damage threat is only an Orianna, you absolutely need to kill a carry with that shockwave combo. Otherwise, the fight's done. There is no other tools you have in the tank. And we saw that time and time again. But credit to where credit is due. I do think Dirty Diet Lizard, they played it right. They played very aggressively, they played hard, they played fast, they engaged when they needed to. The pressure was almost never onto Photography Raptor because, yes, partly because of Sad Lantern, but just because they were always the ones to make the play first, and it paid dividends as the game went on.
For sure, and Bubblegum's not afraid to engage those Emperor's Divides, those Shurima Shuffles. He used his Emperor's Divide, I think, more aggressively than defensively throughout that game, and he and Photography Raptor did a great job making sure they didn't stand next to each other for the most part, so Real Madrid was forced to make a choice. Which carry does he take down? And I think going into game 2 here, Rebrand Kazban needs to rethink their pick and ban phase here a little bit. I like their picks, but maybe let Yone through. He's fairly new. We don't know how well Dirty Diet Lizard can play it. Maybe let that through instead. I'm not sure necessarily Caitlyn is scarier than the Jinx, honestly, the way Photography Raptor played it as well. And if you are going to run this sort of pick composition with the Enchanted Crusader, trying to find Photography Raptor or Bubblegums, you might have to ban the Tahm Kench, having seen how well Sad Lantern can play that champion.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I do agree with you there. The draft has to be something where Dirty Diet Lizards, I mean, it's really rough to see when one pick can throw off the entirety of the draft, right? When Sad Lantern picked up Tahm Kench, it pretty much negated so much of the pick potential coming out from the side of Rebrand banned. I mean, and that is something that can happen when you first pick your Ashe and your Sejuani, right? When you R1, R2 those champions, and then you R3 and Morgana, it pretty much spells out, all right, hey, this is a pick comp. This is not necessarily a late game team fight comp. This is just something where we are looking to front to back team fight you, and that is sometimes a concerning factor. That is sometimes a thing that you are worried about. You have to play around that. You have to know what your win conditions are. But with that said, we will be cutting to just a short little break. But when we come back, game number 2 here between Dirty Diet Lizard and Rebrand banned. Ladies and gents, you don't want to miss anything. We'll be right back.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear. Driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back here to game number 2 between Dirty Diet Lizard and Rebrand Cuz Band in Risen's Rampage Premade Week 6. Once again, my name is Kyler K-Tad Tando, and joining me on the desk is going to be my minion friend here in Ryan Random Minion Caster Teo. And buddy, we saw quite an interesting game number 1, and we're just going right back in. Game 2, bands already underway.
Yeah, first ban from Rebrand because ban that's directly a result of game 1 here. The Azir ban against Bubblegum. They know now why Bubblegum gets it banned against him. I think it's a solid ban. They continue with the Yone ban and the Hecarim. And DDL, well, they don't need to change anything up here. They won game 1 and they look so in control, starting in the draft phase all the way through the game. At no point did they look like they were about to lose it. So they don't need to change anything up. And there we go, the Caitlyn pick. I was just going to say it wasn't banned, and RCB doesn't need to ban it this time because they are first pick. We do see that overpowered current Caitlyn, who despite getting nerfed is still the top ADC in the meta.
Yeah, I mean, curious to see that, right? When, draft adaptations is always something you want to see as the game goes on. And with RCB, right, being on the blue side this time, they don't have to ban it. They can take away the Azir this time around. I want to see how much pressure they put towards this bottom side, because you'd like to see, if you're going to pick the Caitlyn and it's going to go Caitlyn Ashe, you want to see maybe some priority, something that can put a kill down onto the Ashe. The Morgana has some team fight potential, but I'm not 100% sold on this, because that does mean we're expecting to see a handshake lane where it's just, all right, we're going to farm it out. We're not necessarily going to look for a lot of early aggression down on the bot side. But when you look at that, right, DDL already picked up the Vi again, and Mr. McHaas, he was very aggressive, especially towards that bottom side last time around.
Yeah, maybe that's why they're focusing so hard on the Morgana. The Black Shield doesn't stop the damage from Assault and Battery, but it does stop the knockup. It stops the CC, and maybe that's what they're focusing on. But again, you pick the Morgana instantly, DDL, with the Tahm Kench. There's no answer to it, and this time there's even less of a threat in lane. There's no Enchanted Crystal Arrow for the pick, so Ashe is going to have an even safer lane. But we do see a set coming out here for the side of Rebrand Cuz Band. And I mean, that is a pick I like. It's very flexible. It could go top, it could go jungle, it could go mid. So right now, Dirty Diet Lizard has to decide which lane they want to ban out, and that can be flexed here for Rebrand Cuz Band.
Interesting decision there. I mean, obviously, you can't eat the guy if he's getting suplexed into the back line of your team. So I gotta like that call to see where the set's gonna go. Interesting bans here, and the adaptations coming out from the side of Rebrand Cuz Band. The Galio getting taken off the table, I think, signals to me that they are not willing to let DDL get a counter team fight engage. In that sense, they don't want them to be necessarily very tanky, but the respect ban from DDL coming out here, they say, all right, Real Madru, we respect the Orianna, we do not want to deal with it. And actually 2 bans now coming out towards the mid lane in the LeBlanc as well.
Yeah, performance Real Madrid put up in game 1. I'm not surprised at all. In the damage graph we took a small look at the end of game 1, Real Madrid actually did the most damage in the game despite being on the losing team. But Dirty Diet Lizard going to instant pick that Corki here for Bubblegums, and that is his second most played champion. When Azir is banned, there's the Corki. If Azir is not banned and he's not playing Azir, it's almost 100% because he's playing that Corki instead. So they've just really traded one really strong champion in Bubblegum's pool for another here. And now I'm curious to see what Rebrand Cuz Band is going to do to try and combat this composition from DDL here. Looks like they're going to go with the Ornn once again for Ajax. I actually thought it worked pretty well against the Aatrox here in game 1. In lane, he did pretty well, fell behind in CS, but it certainly works for the team fight. And now the question is, what is the mid lane going to be here for Real Madrid?
I mean, if you're looking at it, you want to say something high damage, and okay, Akali gets locked in. I gotta wonder. All right, this is now the question really becomes Real Madrid saying, all right, I did so much work last game, I'm just gonna do even more work this time around. But into the Tahm Kench, into the Vi, into the Ashe, I'm concerned to say the least. You know, that is not necessarily. Oh, okay, never mind.
Skelly P has played Baraka in the top lane before. I wasn't a huge fan of it. I believe it was back in I want to say it was week 2 here. Yeah, it was week 2. He played it 2 games. I wasn't a huge fan of it, but it certainly, I think it's actually a really solid counter pick. Not so much into Ajax, but more against Real Madrid here, because We were talking about damage, and Akali does damage, and you're already concerned. There's a Devourer, there's Enchanted Crystal Arrow, there's a Sudden Battery, there's the Vault Breaker, and Corki just does a lot of abuse in the mid lane. And now on top of that, you've got heals. So I think Real Madrid is going to have one hell of a time come to team fights anytime Soraka is present now.
Yeah, I mean, now this makes it go from bad to worse if you're the Akali player, because it's like, all right, you were looking to maybe assassinate somebody mid-team fight, play weave in and out of the fight. Well, it's harder to do that when a Tahm Kench can just sit on the 2 carries and be like, I'm just going to put you in my belly. And then once he gets spat out, the Soraka says, all right, I'm going to have some heals. It becomes very hard to execute on the Akali, and we will have to see what or how well, I think, Real Madrid can play this matchup out, because on the other side, right, this now becomes more of a siege composition, right? With the Caitlyn Morgana, you are looking to just siege around the map, right? Sets there to maybe look for that engage. You know, you'd like your set to go in at the same time as your Akali, basically, if you're gonna get either of them to kind of get some kills down. But awkward composition, I want to say, for the side of Rebrand Cuzban, because they definitely have champions that want to accomplish different things as the game goes on.
To be fair to Rebrand, because Band, I think they adapted actually fairly well to game 1. The problem is that they weren't adapting to what Dirty Diet Lizard was doing in the current draft. They were sort of trying to deal with what happened last game. They've got themselves a pretty good skilling late ADC in the Caitlyn. They wanted the front line instead of Ornn. They found they had problems killing people and accessing the back line specifically because Bubblegums and Photography Raptor just were wrecking everybody in team fights. So they drafted themselves an assassin who could find and kill those squishy targets. So if this was what they had gone with in game 1, I think game 1 would have gone a lot better for them. But the problem is, look at what they're running into. Like you said, it's a very, very different composition here. The Vi, the Tahm Kench are the same, but everything else is different. And now it's a siege composition. This isn't necessarily a sort of late game skilling front to back team fight composition anymore. This is more of Vi's gonna find you, kill you in lane, and if they get a lead, they're just gonna sit on the turret, and you're gonna have a hell of a time trying to counter, trying to engage into this composition here. And the longer the fight goes, the more dangerous Soraka gets. And with a double ADC as well, they continue to have that really, really strong extended fight as well.
Yeah, and that is where I think the damage comes out, right? If you're DDL, your goal is to keep your Ashe and Corki alive as long as possible. Just get them to pump damage out time and time again, right? Don't let them get in any danger. Keep them alive as long as you can, and just look to win the condition through that. Now, worth noting, though, that if either of them falls down, this now becomes a little bit of a risky situation for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard, right? In the sense that if the Corki is gone or Ashe is gone early on, if Real Madrid can pull off the assassination, now this is a composition with 2 supports that don't do a whole lot of damage, right? Yes, Tahm Kench can do a little bit depending on if that's a Tahm Kench top or a Tahm Kench support, which is looking like it's a Tahm Kench support. This becomes more of a thing where, all right, you need one of your you need both of your carries alive realistically to get some kills down, because otherwise you just got these supportive champs that are sitting in the backline doing nothing, and that is a concerning thing, I think.
For sure. I mean, both teams much riskier. DDL doesn't have that scaling to sort of lean back on anymore. In game 1, they could afford to take a sort of more passive role. I mean, they didn't. Mr. McCoss was looking for kills nonstop. He fell behind, I think, about 4 camps looking for ganks behind Toaster Fire there. But this game, it's more important now that Mr. McCoss actually manages to convert those ganks. Because if he falls behind, like you said, if they don't have the damage, if their tanks aren't tanky enough as well, because if Mr. McCoss falls too far behind, he's going to be really squishy and not have damage, then they're going to have problems in team fights, and they might not win those. And the other thing, too, is their team fight is not as strong. With the Ashe, with the Corki, you compare that to a Jinx Azir, there's no comparison whatsoever. So DDL walking a more dangerous line, towing a much narrower line here, and it will come down, I think, a lot more to the lanes this time. And unlike game 1, I don't really think any lane has a straightforward win lane. I think a lot of them have sort of 50-50 lanes or handshake lanes. So I think it'll come down to who can CS better, I think. And in game 1, it looked like that would be Dirty Diet Lizard.
Yeah, definitely something interesting to keep in mind, as DDL did have that farm advantages for themselves, and they were able to do a lot more. But this time around, remember, the set a little bit faster clear than the Sejuani. He will be able to kind of at least match pace in a little bit towards the Vi. You know, obviously as the game goes on, he'd like to be kind of ganking around. He'd like to be moving around the lane. So we'll have to see how much more Toaster Fire can kind of put up some numbers this time out. But all right, with that said, last thoughts before we cut to a break, Random Minion Caster.
Last thought is gank that top lane there because Skelepy's going to abuse Ajax in isolation, but he's an easy squishy target. So gank that top lane, get some kills, and I want to see that Set be the boss off the Rift.
All right, the boss indeed trying to pick on that little squishy Soraka up on the top side. But with that said, ladies and gents, we will cut to a short little break. When we come back, game number 2 between Rebrand Cuzban and Dirty Diet Lizard. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear. Driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back here to game number 2 between Rebrand, Cuzbrand, and Dirty Diet Lizard. Once again, my name is K-Tad. Joining me is Random Minion Caster, and here we go. Game number 2. Do you believe in the Rebrand?
I mean, they kind of have to at this point. If they lose this game, they lose this best of 3 here. And, just looking at some changes here for both teams, we are seeing the Unsealed Spellbook for Ajax this game instead of the Grasp with the Undying. Solid choice, I think, because he's running into the Soraka. It's a bit of a throwback Soraka top from Skelly P here. And for Mr. McCoss, he changed up his Hill of Blades to the Aftershock as well. So he's going a bit, that tells me he wants to go a bit tankier this game. So adaptations from both teams. We'll have to see how this one plays out. Unfortunately, again, no level 1. Just a sort of defensive start from both teams here.
Yeah, defensive start. We're just looking for everyone to just get to lane. Nobody wants to really risk anything early on. But let's bring this up because I feel this is something that I really hope Rebrand Cuzban can at least punish in a little bit. In the triple teleport coming out from the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. I mean, yeah, that's great map play. That's great ability to get around the map. But my God, like you gotta be able to put some hurt down onto them when they're gonna be taking so many global TPs like that.
Yeah, and I mean, to a certain extent, I actually like the decision from Dirty Diet Lizard to pull off the triple teleport, because if there's a composition that can pull it off, this is one of them. Soraka in that top lane, level 6 with the Wish, that's basically a heal in everybody's pocket here. So Photography Raptor can afford to go that teleport, and for Bubblegums in that mid lane, he's up against the Akali here. So I think that teleport's actually a bit of a defensive summoner. It lets him trade, go back to base, buy, come back to lane, full health again. So while it is a bit of a weakness, I actually think it's not too bad post 6. But if Rebrand can punish before 6, though, that's when they might really come back and bite them.
Yeah, it might come back to haunt them a little bit as now the slow comes down onto Bad Driver. They will just push him back, but the rest of the squad, meanwhile, still moving around the map. I like the aggressiveness from both of these bottom lanes. Worth noting, though, that they are going to be in a little bit of an awkward position because, again, it's the Handshake Co lane. Both of them looking to just, play Farming Simulator 2020 down in the bottom side, as nobody really wants to go for these fights, as everyone else, meanwhile, just playing around the map. Everyone just farming it up. That's a nice knockup, but nothing else doing in the rest of the state.
And Rebrand Cuzban getting ganked.
Ooh, actually, I spoke too soon. Mr. McCoss comes down, flash immediately out of Bad Driver there. The Black Shield is there, and that means they are forced out of that one. Nice play coming out from the Vi.
One thing I actually wanted to note was we actually do see a lane swap between Real Madrid and Ajax here. And Rebrand Cuzban has been doing this all split. They just keep rotating people around to different positions. And I really like this adaptation because now we've got Akali facing Soraka. And Skelly P is having a nightmare lane trying to survive right now. It will only get worse when he hits 6. The Ignite as well is going to stop a lot of that healing. And suddenly, Skelly P going to look really, really exposed in that top lane here.
Yeah. A bit of a rough spot for him, as that is not how you want to play it. But look at this. I mean, I got to credit Mr. McCoss here for knowing, or for at least trying to play around and throw a wrench into the works, right? Because you would think that, all right, you have your Soraka top lane, maybe that's the lane they're going to play around. And instead of looking to counter gank or try to play around it, it seems like he's understanding that, all right, 2v2, it's a Soraka. You probably are not going to be able to win that on your own. So instead, the amount of pressure that Mr. McCoss is putting down on the bottom side, he has not cleared his top side jungle yet. In fact, actually, Toaster Fire was the one who actually cleared some of that for him. Just the amount of just focus towards his bottom side of the map is, yeah, he's still there. Look, he's going to go for another gank, and this one probably will become the kill, as now here comes the Vi. Binding will miss. Flash forward, Photography Raptor would like to get the first kill onto Monomania. That is going to go down. The Ashe picks up first blood, and off of a third gank to the bottom side coming out from Mr. McCoss.
Mr. McCoss running the Aftershock here. I thought he was going to go tanky, more defensive, slower by. Nope, he's still as aggressive as ever. He capped that bot lane like a boss. He's now down a level from Toaster Fire, but he gets first blood onto Photography Raptor, and that is absolutely massive. We already saw Photography Raptor getting a 5k gold lead in game 1 here, and he's going to potentially be able to pull that off again here in game 2, and especially into that Caitlyn bot lane. Caitlyn is a very oppressive laner. Yes, Ashe is sort of like the go-to sort of counter pick in lane, which does skill up pretty well, but why not give a bigger advantage? Photography has shown that he's able to take over a lane, and I expect to continue to see that now that he got first blood, picked up the pickaxe on top of the cull and the boots as well. So we'll have a bit of an advantage in lane over Monomania here.
Interesting decision there from the side of Photography Raptor. He had BF money if he was going to look for an early Essence Reaver or an early IE, but instead chooses to back away. That's a huge binding for Bad Driver, though, as now Bubblegum's forced to flash out of that one. Toasted Fire not able to get any more CC down. Doesn't have the level 6, so not able to do it. But that is a flash down for the mid laner.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that's a Corki. Even with his flash down against an Ornn, against a set, the only way Bubblegums really gets caught out here is if he's not paying attention, does not dodge out the stun. If not, there you go. That's what's going to happen every time. That rock comes up, the volcanic rupture. The moment it comes out, he's going to Valkyrie away. And there's no way for Toaster Fire or Ajax to really punish him in the mid lane. Bubblegums should be just fine. 5 minutes will be okay.
Oh, here we come. Rebrand Kuzban. They found the play onto Toaster Fire. There's the knock, but it's not going to be much more else from that, as the rest of the squad now just trying to retreat. Meanwhile, the Tahm Kench just trying to save the life of his AD carry, but they are chasing him down. They will not get the slow. They will not get the stun. And that means Toaster Fire picks up that one. Sad Lantern just trying to get out of there, but he's not able to get to his turret. It's a double kill for the set.
Great collapse here from the side of Rebrand Kuzban. Toaster Fire coming in, working with his team, and they will be rewarded with 2 kills. A double kill, actually, for Toaster Fire and the Dragon as well, the Mountain Drake. And this Mountain Drake, I criticized it a little bit last game. I kind of said it wasn't that important as the first Drake. Well, it's actually great here for the side of Rebrand Kuzban, because they've got an Ornn, they've got a set, and they want to get some tankiness.
Yeah, with Valkyrie down, there goes the Call of the Forge God. Slow is there. Bad Driver will get the root. The heal comes down, or rather the Wish is just trying to keep him alive, but it's not going to matter. Ajax picks up the kill in the mid at the same time as the Dragon.
Do you believe in Rebrand Kuzban? Because they're forcing you to be a believer right now with their great start. 3-1 already, a much, much better start than game 1 here. And we did speak about how if either of these teams fall behind, it's going to get rougher and rougher for them to come back. And right now, the kill is not even going on the people we necessarily expected them to. It's actually on Toaster Fire and Ajax, the ones without the real gap closers here. Real Madru also having a significant CS lead as well in that top lane. So Rebrand Kuzban looking really solid right now.
Oh, here we go. The first level 6 play coming out from Real Madru on to Skelly P. They will drop the Shroud, getting the ultimate off. Wants to go for one more kill. Needs another auto, and he will find it. Flashes out just for good measure, but with nobody else around, that is going to be the Soraka going down for the first time against the Akali.
That's not going to get better for Skelly P here. The longer the game goes, the worse it's going to get. And, I mean, yeah, he hasn't even purchased yet. He's now sitting on about 1,300 gold. When he gets back, he'll be able to buy probably the Hextech Revolver most likely as well. And that's going to be even more burst. Skelly P having to teleport back into the lane. And he had to actually use his Wish, I think, defensively there, I suspect. Didn't quite see when he used it. So if that's the case, it's not available for the rest of the team. Yeah, so
was just trying to save Bubba Gumps there earlier in the play. That was when the Wish came down, but unfortunately for him, yeah, not having it up meant that was the window for Real Madrid to just go right in. But looking at it here, though, DDL, once again, the Vi's in the bot lane, flash forward, gets a double knock, and that means the Assault and Battery comes down. Black Shield, not going to mean much, but the TP around the backside. They're going to look to re-engage this with the Ornn in tow. They slow up onto McHoss. They want to get a knock-up. They will knock up the Tahm Kench, but the rest of the squad won't be able to get any more damage out. Monomania wants to get some damage down, does land the net onto Photography Raptor. Call of Forge God will come down. They've got the set in tow. They're going to land some huge damage onto the Ashe. The re-engage, not going to be much more else from there as the Crystal Arrow comes out. They need to get another hit. The auto attack will be good. Photography Raptor will get eaten up by the Tahm Kench, as now the rest of the squad still just trying to get out of there. They're all solo. Suplex in the back line. Toaster Fire gets 1, gets 2, gets 3. They all go down. He will drop to the turret, but that is a huge turnaround for the side of Rebrand Kuzban.
The shutdown went to Sad Lantern. Rebrand Kuzban got everything there. Toaster Fire, huge. He got a double before in the bot lane. Now he gets a triple in the bot lane. Toaster Fire is on fire in this bot lane right now, and DDL having nightmares about this set here. Great play from the Bubblegums in the mid lane. Did manage to get a whole bunch of farm, get some damage on the turrets, but honestly, I don't think it was worth it because now that set is becoming terrifying. I said I wanted him to become the boss of the Rift. Well, he's making a darn good case for it right now.
Yeah, 5-1-0. The man's finished his jungle enchantment. He's got some Ninja Tabby in the back pocket. And this is a potentially dangerous set, right? A little bit of a tank. He can maybe get some damage down if he wants to. But overall, having that much gold in the pocket means he can play fearlessly as the game goes on. And when you're looking at the composition, you'd love for your set to be the one to go in, right? You'd like to see him be able to just go in, start the fights off with his kit, and just run at them, maybe get some team fights started that way. And overall, you gotta like it if you're on the side of Rebrand, because Band, that gold lead's still sitting there. That kill lead's still sitting up in their favor.
Yeah, and if you compare the two junglers right now, you can see Tostafar grabbing that Herald, and Mr. McCoss can't do anything about it. He's a level down right now, and he's down by about 1,600 gold as well. And when you look at the items, that means they completed Cinderhulk and Ninja Tabbies. You look over to Mr. McCoss, well, he's got the sort of components there for the jungle upgrade and Boots of Speed. That's it. He can't fight at all. He can't contest any objectives, and now we might see a gang topside.
Yeah, Tostafar has the Hex Flash, looking for the kill onto Skelly P. Will bring him forward a little bit. They burn the Akali ultimate. They're going to re-engage. There goes the damage. And that means Skelly P having a rough go of it in the top side.
Mr. McCaw shows up a little too late there, and I don't think he can even go onto Toaster Fire there. That shield already back up the Haymaker there. Probably going to make it such they can't do anything, but the Herald drop as well. They're looking to push hard in this top lane.
Yeah, meanwhile, Mr. McCoss wants to go down onto Toaster Fire, but remember, the damage is there. Showstopper goes out. Assault and Battery gets used, but the flash out from Toaster Fire means he picks up another kill. They get some plates, they get the gold, and that is disaster in the top side.
Right now, Dirty Diet Lizard just looking a little lost here, not sure what they should do. I mean, Mr. McCoss also just kind of throwing his body in there to add to that body count, and I think if you are Dirty Diet Lizard, you kind of just need to take a moment to just stop right now and sort of reset a little bit, because I think they're throwing a lot of just random kills away at this point. You've got the double Mana Mune coming out for Bubblegums, for Photography Raptor, and that tells me you don't want to fight anytime in the next couple of minutes. You want to hit the Mirror Mana, pardon me, instead before you start picking any fights here. So they need to just slow the pace of the game down. Give up the next Drake, give up the next Herald if you have to. Get Skelly P to play a bit safer, make sure he doesn't get caught, because you just need a skill at this point.
Package is available for Bubblegums, and he might look to use it. Call of Forge Guard goes wide, as now they're trying to re-engage onto Toaster Fire. Mr. McCoss is here, he gets the first shutdown. Ash Arrow will land onto the Morgana on the backside, so now this could be a split fight. The rest of the bottom lane is rotating up towards it, as now they are now pinched. Ajax trying to get some damage down, wanted to get the kill onto Bubblegums, but here comes the Tom Kench. The knockup is there, he's going to eat up the buy, and forces the flash over onto the left side. Slows are massive, as the binding will connect onto the Tom Kench. Corki forces Valkyrie out. Flash forward from Photography Raptor means he picks up that kill. Meanwhile, in the top side, Soraka does get dropped by the Akali in the 1v1, but with Dragon up on the table, this is a great fight for Dirty Diet Lizard.
Yeah, it's a great fight. Yes, they effectively trade 2 for 2, and they get the huge bounty off of Toaster Fire as well on to Bubblegums, and that is important there, because I mean, Bubblegums, he's a guy who can carry. We saw him carry in game 1, so definitely a great person to give that to. And he's
we are not done though. Yeah, Toaster Fire Hex flashes into the pit. This might be a rough spot. There goes the Showstopper. Haymaker not going to connect and go down. This means Toaster Fire has to try and walk it out. The Black Shield will keep him from getting slowed, and they will manage to save their jungler, but at what cost? Because now surely the Dragon has to go over to the side of Dirty Diet Lizard.
A key dragon here. The Ocean Drake is going to be massive for them. Most notably, actually, going to be for Skelly P, because he's the one struggling hardest in lane. And this Ocean Drake healing 2.5% of missing health every 5 seconds is going to be huge for trying to survive the Akali poke, the Akali all-in as well. We already did see, while that was happening, the first turret actually did drop in the top lane there for the side of Rebrand Kazban. So Skelly P now free to leave that abusive lane there. But as soon as he showed up mid lane, well, guess who's waiting for him there? Real Madrid.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think Real Madrid playing the role of that, that one abusive ex-boyfriend that just won't let you go. Skelly P's trying to move on. He's trying to find a new man's in the mid lane, but Real Madrid's like, no, you're stuck here with me. You are not getting out of this lane. You are not gonna get to play the game. Actually, you're just gonna be here with me the rest of this game. Wherever you go, I will be there to follow and stalk you from the bushes outside of your window. And that is exactly what I think is going on. As yeah, Soraka, Skelly P would just love to farm, man, but just not being allowed.
And
Like production just whispered in my ear, like, "Are you okay? Like, is this are you all right?" I mean, I'll be honest, no, Mike, no, I'm not. It's not okay, man. I've been in this lane. It's not fun.
yeah, and I mean, this was a little bit of the concern I had when I saw the Soraka pickup for Skelly P here, because Skelly P, he's a great player when you give him that sort of a champion who can be on his own, do his own thing, and try and push a side lane. But when you give him a Soraka, suddenly it's a lot sort of a bit less safe there, a little less agency. And while Soraka was very popular in the top lane for a while and does abuse sort of melee champions such as the Ornn, unfortunately for them, Rebrand Kazban made an excellent play and swapped their Akali up there, and suddenly you're not facing that chunky bruiser who can't reach you. You're facing an assassin, and you're squishy, and you're starting to look real tasty for the Akali there. And Real Madrid already 3-0-1, has not really joined the team fights yet, but that's gotta be something that's weighing at the back of Bubblegum's and Photography Raptor's mind. Fed Akali incoming soon into team fights.
Yeah, Fed Akali coming in hot, got the gunblade, got the mask, looking for a little bit more of that assassination ability, like we talked about in draft, because honestly, the team fights have been going well for the side of Rebrand Kazban. They would have liked to see maybe themselves get that last dragon, but not too bad the way the game has played out. Worth noting, though, that this is about the time when, the power spike for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard will start to get, wrapped up. You are wanting to expect to see, once that Trinity Force and once that Essence Reaver gets finished out for both Bubblegum and Photography Raptor, respectively, they now become a team that can team fight.
Yeah, but unfortunately, their tier stacking actually looks a little bit delayed here. Bubblegum's only 2/3 of the way there, and Photography Raptor just a little bit above halfway right now, so a little bit slower than what you'd expect. That being said, bot side right now is still all Dirty Dire Lizard, and we see Photography Raptor doing great in the bot lane. They're up in CS still significantly, up in gold as well by about 1,500, so that's a bright shining point for Dirty Diet Lizard, and they could potentially come back with it. Ash, once she does complete sort of that Runan's Hurricane, will be ready for these team fights. And with that Muramana being completed as well, by the time she unlocks the Runan's Hurricane, they're going to have a huge 3-item spike here.
Ooh, huge slow. They burn through the Black Shield. They don't have anything else to keep Monomania safe. The slow is there. Ignite barely not going to finish off the kill. But now with that, they are just going to get out of dodge with the Black Shield. The binding actually lands right down onto them. Here comes Akali around the backside. Real Madrid wants to get the ignite or the kill onto Photography Raptor. They will not get the assassination, but they'll come real close. Actually, they won't get it. Call the Forge God goes out, Toes of Fire, looking for some damage with the Haymaker, but instead they're going to back off for now. Buy around the backside, looking for the Assault and Battery onto the Caitlyn. He won't get it, because Real Madrid just trying to stay alive for now, needs to wait for some cooldowns, but the knockup is there. The rest of the squad trying to turn it back around, and instead that's going to be damage coming across. It's a 2 for 3, but Dirty Diet Lizard, I think they're happy with that one.
That's what I was saying. That bot lane, that's where you got to play around, because Photography Raptor and Sat Lantern playing that beautifully. They almost kill Monomania and Bad Driver to start things off right away. And now Ajax might have overstayed.
Ajax in a 3v1, but actually, hold on, he's got a turret. Remember, that 6th man can play around. The silence is there, the damage is there, the root and everything. Black Shield comes out, and actually it keeps him alive. Just barely. The binding will land. They don't get the kill, but man, they played that one real close to the vest.
This is the series I came here to watch. These balls to the wall, super clutch plays coming out from both teams there. Ajax almost going down, and the 3-man dive with the Soraka makes it look so easy. Nobody really getting low at all. And the problem, though, for DDL is they might have overstayed, because now Inferno has spawned, and we are on this Inferno map as well. So they pretty much gifted this one over to the side of Rebrand Kazban.
Yeah, they are just clearing out wards, getting that vision down, pushing out the waves. So we'll have to see what else comes of this. Is actually Bad Driver. He could get caught out here. There's the silence. Not much else going to go on. Will get pushed back by the rest of the squad. But look at this. They are grouped up. The 5-on-5, we will have to see as the Herald gets summoned down bottom lane what happens next.
Yeah. Bubblegums is carrying the package here, so if there's a time to team fight, this would be it here.
Here we go, looking for the engage. There goes Package in the back line, but immediately they get stunned up. Valkyrie pops him in the back line as now Call of Forward God goes down. Binding will not connect, but the knockup is good onto 2. The rest of the squad, meanwhile, just playing around their cooldowns. Nobody else wants to commit. A lot of huge critical ultimates and cooldowns got burned during that fight, but keep in mind, Rift Herald still pushing up the bot wave. Top lane also pushing for the side of Rebrand because banned. So far, so good. They want to look for the flank. Here comes the Akali as instead Assault and Battery goes down in the back line. That's a huge Zhonya's as they're just trying to buy space. Showstopper comes down into the middle of everything onto the Soraka. The stun comes across from the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. They're just trying to kite back, but instead it's going to be Monomania getting the first one, gets the second one. Ornn gets that kill, and that means 3 members go down from DDL. They are just trying to escape, but they can't get out fast enough, and that is going to be the team fight win for the side of Rebrand because ban.
And they might find the ace.
Oh no, here we go. Ace in the hole picks up the ace. That is not what you want to see. That is Dragon. That is Turret. That is so much. Actually, Alex? Ajax? Okay, never mind. He's trolling, but it's all right. They still won the fight.
The sacrificial ram, I suppose. Ajax just randomly opting to go down there. Doesn't really mean a thing. It wasn't executed. It wasn't a kill. And that entire fight, that entire play was actually started up significantly before the fight broke up. When they dropped Shelly into that bot lane there, it forced DDL to have to pick a fight, initiate that right away. And because they didn't, Shelly started pushing up. And you saw that last fight where they got ace photography, Raptor wasn't even there for most of it. Beautiful flank from Real Madrid as well. The man's a monster. 6-0-3 on the Akali. Doesn't matter. Control Mage, Assassin, he plays them all. And I don't think you can actually ban him out. We'll have to see if DDL decides to throw even more bans if it does go to a game 3 here.
Yeah, gotta see what else can be done because Real Madrid bought so much space like you're talking about. But I want to talk to this point here a little bit because we saw DDL, they went in and out of that fight. It felt like they were uncertain, right? Whether or not they wanted to stay or they wanted to fight, or they wanted to back away. Do they go back in or do they get out of dodge? It was very questionable the way that they were going back and forth, back and forth. Had they all committed to the out, had they all just said, we don't want this fight, we're just going to leave, it might have been okay for them as now Call of Forge God gets used. I don't think it's going to do much more else as the disengage rather from the Tahm Kench keeps them alive. But overall, questionable, I feel, shot calls coming out from the side of Dirty Diet Lizard as we want to see them clean it up as we approach this mid game.
Yeah, to a certain extent, I feel like this was something similar to what we saw a little bit in Game 1 when Skelly P did get caught out. He was overextended. I do think their comms across when they're playing macro play is a little shaky. And if that's the case, I think they need to group up. Because right now, I don't think they're about 5,000 gold behind right now. They don't win fights on even ground here. They need to find picks. And to that, they need to get better vision down as well. Yeah, right now, like their vision is just, it's a little defensive right now, which is great, but they need to find catches. And we are starting to see the Mirror Man, as mentioned by production, starting to complete here. Bubblegum's completed already, and photography should come online at any second now. So this is the power spike for Bubblegums right here. For photography, Raptor still needs that Zeal item, most likely a Hurricane. But for now, Bubblegums, this is the point of time where you need to play around that Corki spike.
Yeah, this is that point where you are the strongest, as now Toasted Fire will miss out on the pullback. So not going to get another kill there. But I do like the idea, right? This is now the time. This is where, yeah, if you can get a pick, this is what you'd like to see. That Ashe is going to be pivotal, I think, for them to look for that play, because I don't necessarily think you're going to find anybody really just kind of chilling out by themselves, except for maybe the Akali or the Ornn in the side lane. That 1-3-1 pressure, very strong coming out for the side of Rebrand because banned. And honestly, yeah, you want to play around. You've got to make your own magic if you are on the side of Dirty Diet Lizard here, because with no major objectives spawning for another few minutes, plays theirs. The time is theirs. There is nothing really to fight over, so you got to look for it yourselves.
Yeah, there's a bit of timer also on Real Madrid. Right now, he's sitting on about 1,700 gold in his inventory. So that's 1,700 gold off that 5,000 or 4,000 gold difference, not currently in play right now. You look over at the ADCs as well. Photography Raptor actually significantly ahead of Monomania right now, has the Infinity Edge and the Miramana and a Zeal as well. And you look over to Monomania, he's just got the BF sword and Infinity Edge. So your bot lane stronger, your mid lane has a spike, and we see a TP coming out.
Yeah, TP immediately coming out. Oh, it's the run back. Here we go, folks.
Real Madrid having to flash to cancel that one. Might have taken a really, really long trip into the enemy base there. Great use, and actually that might have implications for the next fight, because that's the flash down for Real Madrid now for the next fight here. His next fight, he will not have that flash to get in or out. We'll have to see if it actually makes a difference.
You know, when they showed the Akali rework, they showed that that was a thing you could do, right? If somebody TPs or somebody bases, you could actually get the shuriken and take it all the way back to the base. I don't think I've ever seen a time when somebody actually manages to take it and you just see Akali flying across the map. I don't even think Real Madrid realized that's what happened. I think he was trying to silence him or something, but that is unfortunate, because yeah, you're right. He has no flash now. I think he was scrambling mid-fight to be like, how do I get out? How do I stop? How do I not go all the way to his fountain? I don't want to do this. And that's bad, because now with the dragon spawning in 23 seconds, Akali cannot get to the backline as easily as she would like to in this fight. And we'll have to see if that plays a big factor, because the rest of the side of Dirty Diet Lizard, they're grouped up. They're trying to establish vision dominance, and they are looking like they want to contest this Drake.
And this next Drake fight is actually going to be absolutely massive here, because if one team wins comprehensively, Baron's on the table. If Rebrand, because Brand wins this, oh, actually the fight started.
Yeah, here we go. Call the Forge God goes out. Sad Lantern in a bit of a rough spot. Package goes over to the left side. The Corky's looking for the flank. Meanwhile, the rest of the squad trying to fight out in the back line. Mr. McCoss trying to do what he can. Toaster Fire gets a huge haymaker there with some damage out as they re-engage onto Real Madrid, but he pops right into the shadow, and that might be a little bit too much, too little, as now the rest of the squad trying to re-engage. They all flash forward. They're just going in. Dirty Diet Lizard said, we will not go quietly into that good night. They're going to take them down. This is going to be the ace, and just like that, they turn it right back around.
This is absolutely huge. They get the ace, they get the Inferno, and they will get the Baron. And not only that, they also stop the soul stacking coming out from Rebrand Kazban. If Rebrand Kazban had gotten that dragon, they're at soul point. And that means that DDL is going to get super split in about 5 minutes. But here, they stop it. They can potentially go for Baron here. They might turn and burn. No Blade of the Ruin King here for Photography Raptor. Something to note. So it will take a little bit longer, but they should still be safe. Toasted Fire only coming up right now. And we talked about the triple teleport for DDL. Well, there's only one teleport for the side of Rebrand Kazban. So they will not have anybody who will be able to teleport into this.
Yeah, they are trying to scramble to get towards this Baron pit, but with the health bars dropping that quickly, it looks like they are going to get that free Baron Nashor. Now the question becomes, can they stall the backs? They're actually burning the TPs. They might just sacrifice Bubblegum so that the rest of the squad can get out. The Corky in a bit of a rough spot. The shutdown comes through, but they will gladly take that trade. It's a it's basically an ace for a Baron, right? One death for a Baron. You take that if you're Dirty Diet Lizard.
Oh, yeah, and they're almost dead even in gold after that Baron take as well. So for most of this game, Rebrand Kazban were just so dominant here, and it was Dirty Diet Lizard constantly being down, and it showed a lot in these very tight fights where DDL just kept losing because they had a little bit less damage. And we had talked about the power spike that came in from Miramana and from both Miramanas, pardon me, from both Bubblegums and Photography Raptor. Well, they just showed the strength of it, and now that they're up in gold, or not up in gold, but almost dead even in gold as well with the Baron buff, this is when we can start to see Dirty Diet Lizard fighting on equal ground. And when we already said, if you're behind, it's hard to come back. Well, when you're even, well, it's now a question of skill. Who's got the better plays? Who's got the better micro? Because that's what's going to happen in these upcoming fights here.
Yeah, I mean, worth noting in that last team fight, the kite back from Dirty Diet Lizard was very good. I talked about it a few minutes ago, how I was unsure whether or not the comms are good, right? They weren't on the same page. Well, it would seem like they definitely were listening to that, because it felt like everyone was on the same page there. They all kited back. They waited for those critical cooldowns to be off the table. And then now they can just look to go in, as now actually the engage comes out from the side of Rebrand Kazban. They're trying to get down onto the Ashe. Photography Raptor would like to get out of dodge. Zonius comes down. They're trying to turn around the damage onto Sad Lantern. The Tom Kench is going to get sacrificed there. But now can they get out? The team fight is continuing. Toast of Fire gets silenced up. Can't get the shield down from Haymaker. There it is. Finally he escapes, but at what cost? The rest of the squad, meanwhile, just trying to run and retreat. But with Baron buff on, they lose the Tahm Kench, and they lose even more time off of that buff.
And to an extent, that fight was actually very, very similar to the last Dragon fight. Sat Lantern just running, basically having to stall 4 or 5 people. That's what happened last game. And that's kind of why this fight didn't go a lot worse than it should have there, considering that engage. Rebrand Kazban getting a great engage, but Sat Lantern, he's just getting so tanky there with the Knight's Vow as well. And are we going to see a catch? No, Mr. Mercos able to get out just fine for now. And yeah, that Baron is basically gone almost completely to waste here. They will probably be able to get this bot lane turret here just to even things out, but the power play not going the way they were hoping for right now.
Well, Bad Driver still wants some, as actually he hops onto a trap, but with everyone else still around, they won't be going for much else from that. But yeah, gotta agree, that was a critical fight for the side of Rebrand Kazban to take in that moment, right? They knew they had advantage, they knew they had numbers, they had to go or pull the trigger on that, and it ends up working out for them now. With cooldown almost back up, they might look to go in on this. Call of the Forge God is going to be available in just a little bit. Here we go. They line up into the corridor, but they actually turn their focus onto Bubba Gums. Remember, the carries are the ones they need to kill, and they find the Corki already. This might be a really rough team fight now as the Zonius goes down onto Bad Driver looking for the stuns, as Mr. McHoss now trying to do what he can, but instead they peel back for the Caitlyn. It's a double kill already. Ace in the hole going to go out, but it looks like it's not going to matter much. This is going to be the ace rather for the side of Rebrand Kazban. Sad Lantern not able to do much more else, gets suplexed into the ground, and that means they now get to push on the side of Rebrand Kazban.
Right before that fight started, I believe this might happen to trigger for it. Photography Raptor teleported from that bot side to the top lane, and I think that was what triggered. They knew that Photography Raptor was not going to be in that fight, and they just pulled the trigger because that was a 5v4, and I've got to question that call there to send Photography Raptor top with the teleport, because they could have saved it for that fight. That triple teleport almost baiting themselves here rather than helping themselves. That being said, they're lucky. No Baron on the map, no Dragon on the map. They are going to lose turrets, but at least they don't lose major objectives right now. And Rebrand Kazban can't end the game off of it. That being said, they make one more mistake like this for Dirty Dad Lizard, and that will be the game here.
Yeah. Rough spot, rough time. Definitely not the way you want to play out these team fights, but I like the focus coming out from the blue side, right? Immediately, they get the catch, they throw out the Call of the Forge God. The easy target is to go for the 2-man knockup on the left side, right? In the Vi and the Soraka, but the priority target is the Corki. And that is exactly who they went for. They pile dive immediately on top of him. Is now, here comes the TP. They're looking like they want to go for it. They try to burn the dragon down, and it will get taken out. So with that said, now can they re-engage is the question. It's a 3-man knockup from the Call of Forge God, but with the Tahm Kench not going to mean anything. And so, mission accomplished from the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. They get the dragon, and they get out.
Yeah, but they lose a bot lane turret as well there once again. They're losing the macro game quite badly here. And for the side of Rebrand Kazban, they didn't want to initiate. Real Madrid wasn't actually with them. The Call of the Forge God, more of a sort of zoning ultimate there, trying to just scare off the team. If they can catch somebody early, great, but that was a bit of a risky thing. They probably wouldn't have all-in anyways, because Real Madrid 9-1-7 here, quietly just becoming a bigger and bigger monster. Last time we checked in, he was 6-0-3. And look at Toastfire as well, 8-4-10. That's basically all the 2 people they need for these fights. Monomania 4-4-9, having a better game this time, but still behind Photography right here.
Bad Driver taking a lot of damage there off of that one. Before this fight even begins, the wave gets cleared out relatively quickly. So not a lot of things that we're going to see coming out from the bottom side, just off of great wave clear coming out from Dirty Diet Lizard. But I got to agree, with Baron now on the table, you'd like to think that that's going to be the call. That's going to be the focus. A major objective on the map and a ability to force a team fight out if you're on the side of Rebrand Kazban could be the potential option there for them, as that was a very dangerous back there for the side of Ajax.
Yeah, this time he makes it out safely here and will be able to set up for that Baron. And right now, nobody has eyes on Baron. No wards whatsoever. Both sides going blind. No real good vision around it. We do see the 2 blue trinkets near the top side entrance there. And it is going to be Rebrand Kazban, going to be the first ones there. And if we look at the items here right now, when we had checked in last, there was a bit of a power spike for Dirty Diet Lizards. Well, that power spike's kind of over at this point because the ornaments are starting to come in here from Ajax's Ornn. So we're starting to see the upgrades here, the Forge Fire Cape Inferno Mask for himself, the Molten Edge here for Monomania, as well as the Zonia's Paradox.
Whoa.
And another great Devour to keep Photography Raptor alive. And yeah, the Baron probably going to be the next fight to break out. And again, this is another swing point. Whichever team wins this fight is probably going to be able to close out the game because we're hitting the point where people are starting to max out their items. And this will show you the strength of the late game here.
That was Toaster Fire's actual flash, by the way. Looking for that play, they wanted to force the team fight. They burned a pretty big cooldown coming out from the set. He will no longer have any actual gap closer in the middle of a fight. So, big cooldown to waste in an attempt to look for the play. So, want to see how they can kind of capitalize on that if you're Dirty Diet Lizard. Because, yeah, the time is now. The power spikes have hit. You know, you are at a point where, all right, this is about as strong as some of these characters would get at this point in the game. So, we want to see what else they can do with that. And instead, no vision control. They say, all right, there's no way they're starting this Baron. And it looks like the rest of Dirty Diet Lizard will just back away for now.
Yeah, and right now, like you said, there's no vision whatsoever. Everybody's off the map as far as they're concerned. Only now do they start seeing Akali and Caitlyn and Ornn show up here. So a bit of a risky back there, but they do manage to pull it off. And they do get the pink ward down as well. So looks like we're going to go back to that Baron dance once again. But a bit of a disadvantage here for Dirty Diet Lizard, and the bot lane will slowly push up as well. We'll get a pretty huge wave if they don't pull the trigger in the next couple of minutes here.
Yeah, and if you're Rebrand Cuzban, that's what you're totally okay with. You are okay to play this Baron dance, knowing that the bottom lane is going to shove up eventually. So the rest of the squad just happy to keep staying around this here. Ajax will just keep shoving out that top wave when he can. Photographer after the triple TP does come into play here. Keep that in mind. The Ashe does have that available to him in the next few minutes, considering that they only burn the Abyssal Voyage to get everyone back to the Baron Pit after that last set of events. But Dragon spawning in 45 seconds. They could look to just make a play for that, as you see Photographer after immediately spam ping out that the Dragon is spawning in 47.
Yeah, actually, this is a dangerous part for Rebrand Cuzban because it's actually DDL at Soul Point here. In the beginning of the game, it was Rebrand Cuzban getting the dragons. Well, Dirty Diet Lizard kind of picked up a whole bunch of their own as well, and that soul is going to be absolutely huge because both teams right here, they want to fight. They don't really want to split push that much. Maybe Real Madrid wants to, but he doesn't have teleport, so he can't afford to leave his team. And Dirty Diet Lizard with the triple teleport, well, none of them can split push effectively here.
No, that's a big binding though onto the side of Sad Lantern. He has to pop the Grey Health just to try and survive. But the Call to Forge God will find the pick already. Dragon hasn't even spawned yet, as now Bubblegum's forced to burn the package around the backside just to get themselves out. Mr. McCaw's trying to turn it back around, but the fight is a little bit split. Now they go in and re-engage onto the side of Toaster Fire there. They're looking for damage on the left side, but keep your eyes on the Akali. Actually, no, keep your eyes on the Corki, as Bubblegums finds two on the left side. Just trying to turn this fight around by himself. He's the only man standing from his team. He doesn't have cooldowns. He doesn't have a life, as that is an ace from the side of Rebrand Cuzban. I think they can end the game off of that.
Yeah, they potentially could. Only Sad Lantern going to be coming up in the next 10 seconds here. No one else with him, but there's no attack damage left from the side of Rebrand Cuzban. Monomania already did as well. I don't know if they can actually take this one here. They might actually want to just go back, take the Dragon or the Baron instead. That's probably a safer ask, but they're actually going to try.
This is very greedy from them. They could look to do it. Remember, next person up is going to be Mr. McCoss at the 6 seconds. So that means they will just instead back away. They choose not to get greedy for it. And instead, everyone now moving immediately towards that Dragon. But here's the time. Triple TP. Well, they're all up. They only need to get the Tahm Kench and the Vi into position. Everyone else can just TP to that fight immediately. They've got the wards. That is going to be the call. The wrong person took the Tahm Kench out. Oh no, they wanted the Vi to take that. It's now a Call to Forge God goes out. They're going to engage right down onto Photographer after. Beautiful eat there coming out from him, as now Sad Lantern tried to take it out. But it's not going to matter. Immediately, the double kill from the Akali as they're trying to just kite it back. It's not going to mean too much though, because the rest of the team is there. This should be the Inferno Dragon going over to the blue team. It will be. Skelly P just trying to dodge it out, put it on the shoes, but it's not going to matter. Bubblegums wants to turn it around as well, but with the Guardian Angel, he's not going to get much more done. He's already down. There goes the kill. And that means now they get to end the game on the blue side.
Yeah, now they've got Monomania up alive. No problem to rip those turrets down. And just, that was absolutely disgusting. And DDL, like you said, the wrong person took the Abyssal Voyage. They could potentially have had all 5 members show up at Dragon together, but they didn't. They didn't even the same wards. They came in split to start the fight off, and that's going to be game. And we have ourselves a game 3 here.
What a fun time that one was. A lot of fighting, a lot of chaos. You gotta love it when you see games like that. It's just absolutely wild to see these teams play it out. But credit where credit's due. Real Madrid, we talked about it early on. We wanted to see, can the guy be even more of a threat than he was last game? Well, folks, let me tell you, if the Oriana didn't impress, the 14-1-7 Akali has got to put you on a little bit of a fun time there.
Not only 14-1-7. Last game, we spoke about a 5,000 gold gap between Monomania and Photography Raptor. Well, Real Madrid just topped it. He's got about 8,000 more gold here than Skelly P. That's an absolutely huge gap in terms of gold here. And that 14-1-7 is part of it. The CS difference as well. He Flame Horizon Skelly. Granted, that's a Soraka, so she's not great at farming, but that's still incredible. That's just too big a gap. You can't have that happen. And I think going to game 3, Dirty Lizard needs to keep in mind that you can't swap your mid and top at the drop of a hat. So they've got to make sure they don't get a mismatch like that once again here.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be caught out. You don't want to be in that rough situation. But ladies and gents, we do get to see the third game. This one will go the distance. Everyone playing as hard as they can. They want to take this, even though it's only a regular season match. They still want to come away with the win. And if Rebrand can pull it out, they will upset, I think, the natural order of their group. So with that said, ladies and gents, we will be cutting to just a quick little break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear, driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere, I swear, like an outlaw on the run. Dangerous, but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running.
Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome back here to what should be an exciting conclusion between Dirty Diet Lizards and Rebrand Cuzban. Once again, my name is Kyler K-Tad Tando, and joining me on the desk is going to be Ryan Random Minion Caster Teo. And all right, here we go. Game number 3, everything on the line for this series. How you feeling, bud?
I'm feeling super hyped after game 2 there. Both teams that won have looked so good while doing it here. And it looks like we're just going to see a run back here for the bans for both teams back to game 2. Surprisingly, DDL not changing up a single thing despite losing game 2 like that.
Yeah, they absolutely... I don't know if they necessarily needed to. I think had they just picked a few different things in game number 2, that would have been a little bit better. I don't think there was anything wrong with the bans necessarily. But this time around, they pick up the Morgana first pick. I mean, I know it's been something that Bad Driver's been playing all series, but I'm a little sad by that because Sad Lantern was a great Tahm Kench. Nothing against him the whole series.
Yeah, and more importantly, the other thing I'm concerned about is they gave up Caitlyn once again here to the side of Rebrand Cuzban. And honestly, the Ashe there for Photography Raptor didn't look that amazing. Granted, he still did win the lane, but it didn't look so much like it was the Ashe countering the Caitlyn so much as Photography Raptor just played the lane better there. So maybe they think the Morgana is the bigger part of the lane. We'll have to see. Either way, what I don't want to see again is that Soraka pick for Skelly P into an assassin, especially when it was supposed to be the counter pick in the top lane.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this in the post game or off during the break that anything, I think almost anything would have been better in that scenario, right? A bruiser, a tank, it didn't really matter because you were playing so they so hard committed, right? Dirty Diet Lizard committed to, all right, we have 280 carries, these are going to be our priorities, and this is how we're going to play the game. But when you look at it, that is not necessarily the greatest way to play it, just because it forced them to survive and it forced them to not get picked off. And on the other side, Real Madrid was just like, oh, you're just going to pick a Soraka? All right, I'm just going to go to that lane, get farmed. I'm going to have a fun time. I'm not going to get punished at all. And that's exactly what happened. He just got fed. He scaled up. He got farmed. And he ended up carrying the game really hard off of that. And I'd like to see DDL maybe play around knowing that that guy is a threat.
Yeah, 14-1 and 7-8, no joke here. And we do see the change up here. Jhin coming in for DDL as well. I really like this bot lane actually, especially with that Vi, because now Monomania and Bad Driver no longer have the Black Shield to stop the ganks coming in from Mr. McCawson. The Akali ban coming in from DDL, our prayers are heard. They're gonna stop Real Madrid from getting that one there.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is another mid lane ban. Yep, and it is. LeBlanc gets taken away. They say we are fine with the Orianna. You just don't get to play any of these assassins that you normally would expect to see in the mid lane. So want to see what else RCB does pick up, as it's so far looking like a very tanky composition. The Orin, the set, same things that they worked last time, but this time with a Karma. You'd expect support, I'd imagine.
You don't fix what ain't broke. It could potentially be the mid lane as well for RCB. That Karma can flex across mid or support, so we'll have to see what it goes. Karma, often considered actually a fairly good pick into the Morgana as a support as well. Can push just as hard, if not harder. That being said, I think the Jhin Morgana lane does do very, very well into the Caitlyn Karma. Fairly even lane. We do see the Corki pick up for Bubba Gumps. He obviously felt like that went well last game. I mean, he did have a couple of dicey Valkyries at the package there, but overall, I think it's a fairly solid pick. And the question now is, what are they going to run top? And keep in mind, Skelly P has to be a bit careful about this. He got lane swapped on already, so whatever he picks has to do well into the Ornn, as well as yeah, it could be the Aatrox.
Aatrox.
That is not an hybrid. That can't be an hybrid.
I'm waiting to see chat.
That's Aatrox. Yeah,
that's
called
Aatrox.
it.
See? Called it. 100% called that, because that is a pick that makes sense, right? You have the Vi, just play the Bash Brothers again. You've got this backline double 80 carry where Jhin is fine with playing all the way in the backline. He doesn't necessarily have to be in your face to get his damage off. And on the other side, now Rebrand Cuzban, I want to say they go for, oh, okay. Very tanky boys is what the answer is. The Rumble gets locked in, and that means they're going to have... Oh, and never mind. That was a Syndra ban, or a Syndra pick. couple off picks here as we they did kind of last second decide what they wanted to grab. But overall, I mean, a lot of different, I think a lot of the same types of ideas we're seeing from both of these squads, and they're reverting to what worked for them in the games that they won, right? Via Aatrox worked well for Dirty Diet Lizard, and on the other side, having the Ornn, having the set worked very well for Rebrand Kazban. So want to see what these guys can do.
I think for the side of Rebrand, because Ban as well, their win condition is going to be the mid lane. Real Madru has been their carry player throughout this entire series here, and I like the fact they gave the counter pick to him, the last pick here. The Syndra into Corki, I think, is a really, really solid matchup. You can't counterplay the R when she unleashes when she uses unleash power with all the balls running at the Corki. He can't Valkyrie away from that. The balls will chase him down. So I think that's a really solid pick. Shut down Bubblegums. And for the side of DDL, their win conditions the bot lane. So it's going to come down to, can Photography Raptor just absolutely pop off, take over a game? And my concern here is he's running Jhin. Jhin is a great champion. I love him. The amount of damage he does is disgusting. That fourth shot is ridiculous. But against double tank, Set and Ornn, might be a bit of a problem trying to chunk through those carries as well. And when you look at the range of Caitlyn, she can free fire safely as well. So I think a lot of it will come down to which carry can carry harder, or which jungler top duo comes out on top. Because like you said, Vi Aatrox, really, really strong combination. Worked great in game one. But so far, Mr. McCoss on the Vi has been struggling to get the ganks off. Without the Morgana, let's see if he can do something in the bot lane, maybe convert a couple more of those, get kills, and not fall behind Toast of Fire levels.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something to take in mind, right? Basically, these guys are looking at different sides of the map for who's going to be strong, right? Rebrand Kazban, Caitlyn is going to be their main source of damage. The other side of the map is really just looking to play around the team fight, right? I like that you've correctly kind of called this out, that on the top side for DDL, Vi and Aatrox, very strong combination. Jhin, also great at putting out damage. Question is, though, can the set keep pace with Mr. McCoss again? Because last game, right, when we saw this set into the Vi matchup, Mr. McCoss was putting a lot of pressure down on the bottom side. He was staying down bot. He wasn't necessarily staying around the side of where the set was. And so he just kept forcing plays around the lane that he wanted to, right? He was so far in this series the better ganking jungler. Now, on the other side, Toaster Fire was able to just kind of pick up kills off of crazy team fights or crazy skirmishes. But overall, I want to see what else the side of DDL can pull out as they move their jungler around the map. So far, I'd like to see a little bit more roams coming out from the mid lane. I'd like to see them push waves a little bit more efficiently, because already it feels like, especially now into this matchup, the handshake bottom lane, the farming, is probably going to happen again. I don't see a world where they don't go cull again.
Yeah, I mean, well, we might not. Depends. I agree with you. It's most likely we will see the calls come out just for the investments again. Caitlyn most likely not going to look to interact overly much against the Jhin Morgana, because they actually out-trade in terms of true damage there. But we might maybe see Photography Raptor go for a kill lane. If we do see a non-call ADC, it will be Photography Raptor, I think. And yeah, the other thing is also, last game, Toaster Fire had an absolute pop-off start. He got a double kill in the bot lane, followed by a triple kill before, I believe it was 10 minutes or 12 minutes there. And I think if that doesn't happen again, DDL has a much better mid-game, where they don't just try and struggle to keep up and have to bet on a Baron play. So if that doesn't happen, I think we might have a bit of a much more even game here between DDL and RCB. And yeah, if it comes down to skill, I think DDL has shown that they've got a lot of skill. As long as they can keep Real Madru down, I think Real Madru is he's just the hard carry of RCB right now. Keep him down, should be okay. And I don't think Real Madru has as favorable a lane as he did last time, and he'll be up against Bubblegums, which I think is a much closer matchup than against Skill EP on Soraka.
Yeah, I mean, he had a free lane last game. He had a free time of it. I mean, it's a Soraka lane, right? You're not under any sort of pressure to do anything. Maybe you're under some pressure to get a lead, but that's about it. The guy doesn't put any kill pressure onto you, and I do agree with that point. Bubblegums is a better matchup. He is a little bit more of a better, he's on a better laning champion at the very least, right? I think last time Real Madru trying to dodge out away from the Corki, but yeah, this time out, he can only really pop one person at a time, right? Syndra as a champion, you want to burn your combo to delete one person off the map. And when we look at it, Dirty Diet Lizard, they've got 4 people potentially that could be a threat, right? You've got the Aatrox and Vi in that top side. You've got Bubblegums, who's going to be looking for these crazy Valkyrie plays. And you've got Jhin, who when left to his own devices, he can get a lot of damage out because obviously he needs to reload, but every fourth shot it is going to be a big crit. So things to keep in mind. Obviously, one thing we haven't necessarily touched on just yet is going to be that bottom lane, that Karma into Morgana. You know, Karma being the new pick of the series. But and that said, any last thoughts here from the game here, Minion Caster?
Pull up on your touching the supports there. Morgana I actually think could be huge. That Black Shield there, so many things you could Black Shield, especially the Unleashed power as well, might be able to keep her carries alive. So not just the lane matchup, I think in the fights as well, the supports are going to be much more important, I think, than we've given them credit so far.
That support's definitely going to be a big factor. But with that said, ladies and gents, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, the conclusion to our series today between Dirty Diet Lizard and Rebrand Cuz Band. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear, driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere, I swear, like an outlaw on the run. Dangerous, but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running. Told my boss that I'm done. Had no luck with my mom. Say, what will you do with your life? You know it's hard to survive. A cigar in my mouth. Maybe guilty but proud. Now I'm an outlaw on the run. Dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running.
All right, ladies and gents, and welcome back here to game number 3 between Dirty Diet Lizard and Rebrand Cuz Band. And here we go once again. Kate's had random minion caster rather on the desk, and here we go. It's an invade level 1. The cheese is coming.
Cereal.
No, and then we gotta pause. All right, somebody's got to reset a router. It's okay because we get to talk about this invade. We haven't seen an invade all series. Here we go.
And I was getting so hyped up and so revved up for this invade. I've been waiting for it all series, and to see it in game 3, the most important game, the game that decides it all, and then we get the pause. That being said, I mean, for the level 1 invade, a ballsy play coming out from the side of Rebrand, because Band here, they are going to be running into a Morgana, but they do have the Karma really heavy level 1 damage, Caitlyn really heavy with level 1 damage as well. They don't have a ton of CC necessarily unless the Ornn opts to start with that knock-up, which would kind of screw his laning phase over. So more than a composition that is great for invades, it looks like they're forcing this one, and it might actually pay off because nobody on the side here of Dirty Diet Lizard really looks like they're in position necessarily to try and counter the invade.
Yeah, I mean, Photography Raptor, he's going to be in the bush, so he could be the potential victim of the engage. I mean, so hear me out. This is how, Bad Driver on the Karma, this is the pick for this reason. They're going to Mantra shield everyone. He's going to start shield, and they're just going to run at him. All right, that's gotta be the call, right? It's just absolutely run them down is what I'm assuming here is gonna be the call, because yeah, you're right. They don't have great level 1 CC skills, right? Unless you get a knock up or a pullback, if you commit to that all in, you absolutely have to get the kill. Otherwise, it's not even worth it. And to some degree, it might not even be worth it even if they do get the first blood, because starting some of these skills on these champions is not a good way for them to clear. As it looks like some chat going down here as I don't know who Razor Toaster is, but that it seems like is the guy that these guys want to praise.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the Razor Toaster's Razor's new PC helps to get better internet. Who knows? I don't think we'll really find out or know here. And unfortunately, I think with the pause, basically, this invade's going to get real complicated real fast. I'm not sure anything's going to come of it. But just getting deep vision, I think, will help a lot as well, just to track Mr. McCoss, because Mr. McCoss has shown this tendency to be very, very aggressive in the early game. Whether he succeeds or not is a whole different issue, but he always tries. And I think if you can track where he's going to go, Toaster Fire then has the choice. Does he do what he did in game 2, like you said, where the two junglers sort of avoid each other, they go for their own ganks, and Toaster Fire managed to get the double, the triple? Or is he going to go and try and find Mr. McCoss and try and match him, counter gank him as well? Because if they know where he's going to go, they can bait the ganks as well. So that's a very viable option as well from the side of Rebrand, because Band, if they do manage to get some deep vision down. And is Dirty Dot Lizard going to match the vision as well? Are they going to be able to find out, spot out maybe Toaster Fire's starting route and preempt him? We'll have to see all of that, because level 1 right now, anything can happen, and we'll have to see what actually happens. The pause right now, still no real word on when they're coming back in at this point in time.
Yeah, still no word. It looks like there goes the DC, so now might be a good time for the reconnect. We should expect to see them kind of coming back in relatively quickly. But yeah, we want to see where the junglers go, because coming out of this level 1, right, assuming the side of Rebrand cuz Band gets that early kill, or at least gets the early pressure, if they choose to take the red buff and they go kind of these opposing starts, right, where they control the bottom side and they allow Mr. McCoss to control the top side, well, all right, you're okay with that. I think both sides are okay with that, because that puts pressure down onto the Jhin Morgana, who necessarily would like to farm safely, right? They'd like to be a little bit more aggressive. They're not necessarily the best underneath the turret. Whereas on the other side, Mr. McCoss, he's totally fine with staying on the side of the map with Skelly, because that is where he is strong. So want to see how this invade plays out. We are, again, still waiting on a pause. Somebody had to reset the router. But let's talk about some of these summoners, because this time around, I think it's a little bit more standard. We are seeing, though, the double TP coming out from both solo laners on both sides. I'm okay with this on the Aatrox and the Corki. I'm a little surprised by this on the Syndra.
Yeah, agreed. I think Real Madru, he wants kill potential, right? That's how he's carried game 2. And you pick a Syndra to kill people, especially when you pick it into anything squishy like a Corki. Like I said, you press that R, unleash power, well, you kill somebody. But the problem is sometimes you don't quite finish them off and they survive with a little bit of health. That's when you want the Ignite. That being said, I mean, Teleport, it's not the worst pick there. I think it's an okay pick. That tells me Real Madru either is really, really confident he can kill him, which I don't necessarily think is the case, or 2, he's putting a bit of safety into his kit as well. So should he struggle in lane, should he need a bit more sort of macro ability to get around, he has that. Even if he takes a bad trade, no big deal. He goes back, buys, comes back to lane as well. So it's a bit odd, but it's okay. I think more importantly, the phase rush there coming out for Real Madru. He wants to go fast. He wants to be able to follow up on the damage here. wants to be able to chase down Bubblegums even if he Valkyries away. I think that more than anything shows the aggressiveness I'm going to be expecting to come out of this mid lane here.
I mean, talk about phase rushes. Look at Toaster Fire. That guy's picked up one for himself as well. I mean, you normally don't see that, I think, on the set. It's not something that is... It's not impossible, but it is something that... It does bring up a question of like, all right, you're just doubling down on that movement speed, right? You're saying, yeah, Real Madru, you're going to run fast. And at the same time, Toaster Fire, same thing. He's going to run fast at him just the same. And that is something... It can be potentially a great way for them to engage, assuming the team fight starts off the way they want it to. But overall, yeah, we got to see what else these guys are going to pull out, because aside from that, let's take a look at some more of these keystones pretty much. Sad Lantern, picking up the Glacial Augment. It is something that can kind of be used later on as well, right? If we're looking at these heavy team fights in the mid game, that is a thing, right? That is a potential where, all right, he's going to throw out some abilities, he's going to throw out the Super Soaker, stuff like that. It is a concerning factor, or it is something that he can use to better help out his team and be a benefit. So we want to see what else can be done around that.
And just to go back to Toaster for a quick second, I believe he actually ran Phase Rush in Game 2 as well on the set. So definitely something he's comfortable with, correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, the Glacial Augment as well for Sad Lantern, like I said. I think it's got a lot more punishment in lane. Like last game, they had Ashe, so that you've got the perma-slow. Now they've got Morgana. So again, perma-slow as well. So to a certain extent, I think that's maybe what they're going for. Interesting difference, because I believe Bad Driver ran Guardian as the keystone on Morgana. So we'll have to see which one sort of works out here, whether the defensive keystone was better or whether this Glacial Augment, which I assume is more aggressive, actually pans out in lane. Certainly, I think will complement Photography Raptor's aggressive laning a little bit better than the Guardian, though.
Yeah, a little bit better. I think it adds some level of CC or some level of ability to play around the rest of the squad. We'll have to see if it pans out as time goes on. Now, keep in mind, let's take a look at some of the standings here as we talk about it, because it is something we haven't quite mentioned. We mentioned it earlier on in the cast, but let's bring it up right now that this is kind of a big match for DDL to not lose in this regard. 4-1 in the standings right now. We talked about a huge tiebreaker for first place in the group here at 4 teams being at 4-1. DDL, if they take this win, that does put them in a relatively good position to be, contesting and playing around for that top of the table. Whereas on the other side, Rebrand cuz Ban, if they take this win here, they were sitting at 2-3. That pushes them to 3-3. They've got a little bit more priority. They've got a chance to kind of start to crawl their way back up the standings. So both teams, I think, do not want to necessarily drop this match in this series.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we're saying, Division 1 right now has a really weird distribution. So, like you said, 4 tied for first place, and then you've got 1 team sitting solo at 5th, and then you've got 5 teams sitting at, I guess, tied for 6th right now. And Rebrand, because Band is one of those teams tied in there. So every win right now matters a lot to these teams because it helps to separate out the pack a little bit. And like I said, Dirty Dialers wants to continue sitting at the top of the standings right now, so they need a win to keep that going. And if they were to lose, they would drop to who knows how far down they might drop, at least 4th, at least 4th here if they do drop a game. And for Rebrand Kazban, they had a really rough start of the season. I believe they dropped about 3 games in the beginning. So having a win right now would help pull them out of that sort of lower end of things. And with the playoff format as well, I believe you need to be the top half of your division. So right now, Rebrand Kazban is not necessarily in the top half of the division. They're in sort of this weird pack where they could be at the bottom half. If they get a win here, that could distinguish them and put them in that sort of safe spot. And this is week 6, I believe, as we are talking about. So this is the halfway mark. There are 11 weeks in the regular season. So you want to be in the top half starting the second half of the split so that you're in a good position, because nobody wants to fight their way up from the bottom here.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be dropping any more games as this goes on. With that said, ladies and gents, we will be taking just a short little bit of a pause. We are already paused, but here we're gonna give you guys just a little bit of a rest. You guys don't gotta listen to us for another 15. You're gonna hear us for the rest of the game, don't worry. We understand you love our beautiful voices and all of that, but we will give it just a little bit of a break. So when we come back, hopefully it's going to be soon. Hopefully you guys won't be watching this pause screen for very much longer. I know you guys, you're going to miss us. I know you guys want to be watching us on stream. It's okay, but we will cut to a short little break. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be right back.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear. Driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere, I swear. Like an outlaw on the run, dangerous but it's so fun. Running, running, no. Hold on, don't let go. Running, running, no. Keep running.
All right, and like you said, it was only going to be a short time. You know, you guys got to hear us talk about almost everything under the sun, but we are back here. It is game 3 between Dirty Diet Lizard and Rebrand cuz band. And all right, just like that, folks, it's off. The invade is off. They've called it off. They've sent the troops back home.
Much sadness, much disappointment, and unfortunately, we won't even see aggressive wards come down. Both teams just going to have a defensive start, and we're going to go back to what we've seen in the first 2 games. It's going to come down to junglers again, I guess, for that first gank. We'll have to see what happens. And to a certain extent, I understand it. I mean, this is game 3. Everything's on the line. So considering the way the pause kind of disrupted things, they probably don't want to take any more risks.
Yeah, they definitely don't want to take any more. They don't want to give it away just yet. So it looks like everyone will just go back to the default starts. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing gained, nothing like it's too big of a big deal. This isn't season 2 where your level 1 mattered so much that, you know, if you mess it up, you're in a really rough spot. So overall, we're okay. You know, we're gaming. So we'll have to see what these guys come out with as everyone else just moving ever so gently across the map. It is going to be a full clear coming out from Toaster Fire. So interesting decision there. He's not going to try and match the Vi and instead just wants to clear out his jungle.
Yeah, junglers right now looking like a repeat of game 1 here, where we did see Mr. McCoss take that red buff, run up, and then look for the gank top lane, repeat gank to get a kill with the Aatrox. We might see that happen again, actually. Toaster Fire was on a Sejuani game 1. He's going to be on the set, which has a much better dueling capacity, but he's going to be late to the party. So we'll have to see if Mr. McCoss opts to do that, and if Ajax recognizes that that could happen again.
Yeah, so far so good, as once again Ajax just trying to play out that set Ornn matchup, or rather that Ornn into the Aatrox matchup as best he can. Misses the dash though, so that does mean he's going to be a little bit worse for wear, but like we talked about in game 1, has the Doran shield, will sustain, so not necessarily in too much of a trouble. But as we do see it once again, Mr. McCoss, like you called out, takes down his red to blue to Gromp, and now straight into the jungle for the invade. But little does he know, Toaster Fire is right around the wall, and actually he's pretty low as the stun will miss from Drew on the mid side. So looks like we might see that gank in the top side.
Good ping out from Skelly P. The gank doesn't succeed, but they blow the flash again, and this is important. But they did ping out the ward that got dropped by that top sort of wall there, and that was huge because that allowed Mr. McCoss to sort of go around. And Toaster Fire gets to live because Mr. McCoss sort of pulled the trigger early on the top lane. But so far, everything fairly even. Flash blow in the top lane. We'll have to see if there's a revisit up there from Mr. McCoss. If not, then, well, RCB kind of came out ahead in that one.
Yeah, they got the full clear timer for their jungler, right? For the set. They allowed him to just kind of get that priority, get that farm. He's going to immediately go down to the bottom side scuttle because he knows he's not trying to contest the top half of the map. That currently belongs to the side of DDL. So far, they're okay with it. They're just trying to farm up for now. Nothing too crazy just yet. I'd like to see where the pressure comes out next, but overall, Mr. McCoss just happily farming away as well on his end.
Yeah, and if we can sneak a quick look into that bot lane, surprisingly, it is going to be DDL's bot lane struggling a little bit. I think this is the first time, actually, we're seeing Photography Raptor and Sat Lantern get pushed in early without any jungle pressure. And I don't know if it's maybe the Morgana pick or the Jhin pick, but so far not working too well. Top lane, gank going off.
Oh, that's a huge knockup. Toaster Fire is here. Going to pop the Q for that movement speed, but it does force out the immediate flash from Skelly P. He did not want any of that business up there.
I mean, getting out real quick, real safe. The CC lock would have come down, but that means his flash blown as well on top side. Going to be fairly balanced here in terms of things blown. That being said, Skelly P finding small advantages in the 1v1, and that bodes well for them.
Yeah, definitely does bode well. As now Ajax taking a huge trade up against Skelly P in the top side, knowing that he has Toaster Fire on the backside. And actually, there's no wards to see this right now, as actually it might have been spotted out. Okay, there was one in the try. I stand corrected. And that does mean he gets to be safe for a little while. But overall, not too bad of a spot for the Aatrox.
Despite not having a ton of action go down early, there's actually a lot of strategic movement here. We do see Mr. McCoss now going to that bot side, but there is a ward in that try as well. While meanwhile, Tosifar actually looking for the revisit in the top lane.
Now, meanwhile, here we go. Mr. McCoss has been spotted out on top of the ward. Does have Q available. We'll have to see if he burns it, but instead, nope. Just walks away, and Bad Driver hits him with the sad little Zoe emote. Says goodbye, friend, as he walks away and now invades into the jungle.
Yeah, both teams stepping up their vision game early here. You can see the vision put out across the map side lanes, making sure they're completely safe. And now mid lane Bubblegums might be in a spot of bother here.
Yeah, Bubblegums might be in a little bit of a rough spot. Toaster Fire wanted to chase him down, but not able to pop that phase rushes. Now, actually, that's a good amount of damage coming down onto the Karma. Keep in mind, they have the Vi in the jungle if they want to go for it. And actually, yeah, they pop over the Blast Cone. Do they see it? I don't think they've noticed this just yet. Here comes the Vi. Immediately, the flash, the root. It's all there, and it's all gone. First blood comes out for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. They pick up that one. Ajax in the top side, though, wants to get it off, but he messes up the dive. Oh, no, not what you want to see. The flash, though, from Real Madrid. He picks up a kill in return in the bot side. Absolute chaos, but it's a 2-for-1 across the map.
Just think, the game looks so much more cerebral this game, with both teams playing around vision so well, and that's why we weren't seeing kills. And next thing we know, at the snap of the fingers, kills going around everywhere here. And Real Madrid with that flash and Unleash Power, well, there's no counterplay to that. And so Photography Raptor, Bubblegums, and Sat Lantern all have to be super, super careful of that. That's only going to get scarier. And Real Madrid, as soon as he hit 6, pretty much he started roaming, and that was great from him.
Oh, look at that damage coming out from him as well in the mid lane. Bubblegums gets hit with the stun, gets taken down to about a little under half health. Will have the pots to sustain himself back up. But yeah, I gotta say, the aggression coming out from the side of Rebrand Cuz Band I definitely like it this time around. They are looking for that damage. That's another good combo there. Real Madrid getting some damage out. Imagine if he has his ultimate there, that would be a dead Corki. So overall, good pressure coming out from the Syndra.
That's the strength of that phase rush there. You could just continue chasing Bubblegums down, and the Valkyrie without the package is fairly short-ranged as well. So that phase rush doing huge amounts of work here for the side of Real Madrid. And top lane, we continue to see dueling come out.
Yeah, Ajax still in a bit of a rough one. Off of that earlier failed dive, World Ender is available. Keep that in mind. Skelly P might look to go for it if he lands another hit. And there we go. It forces out the flash from Ajax. Call of the Forge God was not available, so he did not want to keep going on that one. Overall, though, Binding will miss. And everybody else still playing these laning phases so tense right now. These guys are not willing, not wanting to make a mistake, rather, as they're all playing very close to the vest. But Bad Driver takes a huge chunk of trade, and that right there is the power of the Morgana Jhin bottom lane.
Yeah, this is more what I think we were expecting here, getting this sort of lane matchup. And we do see Mr. McCall sneaking into the bush here, but I don't know if that last minion might have spotted him out. Potentially not, because Monomania and Bad Driver now starting to push up, and we might see something happen here.
Yeah, we might see something once again. They push up a little bit. Bad drivers playing around the backside, but here we go. Flash forward. They get the stun. They get the root, and here comes the shots. They're going to try to snipe them down, but they need to tank some of them. Monomania wants to just get around, but there it is. The snipe is there. They are not able to dance around fast enough, and somebody's got to die there. It just so happens to be the Caitlyn. Nice gank there coming out from Mr. McCoss.
Converting that one, great on him. And I mean, Photography Raptor with that current call, the patience on that last fourth shot as well. No matter who he hit, he gets the kill. But he waited, made sure he could line up, got Monomania. So Monomania going to miss out a huge minion wave here, crashing into the turret. And that will be first Drake as well. This is going to be the first Cloud Drake that we're getting in this series. The cooldown reduction as well. So that should be nice here. A nice little start for DDL.
Yeah, that is something that when you're looking at it, they do have some ultimates that they'd like to use frequently, right? The World Ender can be, now you just pop it whenever you feel like it, but in the mid lane, Mr. McCoss trying to turn around onto Real Madrid, has the Q, Assault and Battery gets used, and they are going to go for it. TP gets cancelled out by Skelly P up in the top side. While all this is happening, though, it is Toaster Fire going down onto the Rift Herald, trying to get that outplay, but instead in the top side, Call to Forge God goes out. The flash into it, actually, from Skelly P. A little bit awkward. But it will be Toaster Fire finishing off the Rift Herald and getting that kill, or getting that objective for himself, while the rest of the squad backs away as, oh, we might not be done. World Ender gets used. Skelly P looking like he wants to go and force some objectives, force some play out of everyone. But with all of that said and done, nobody else goes for anything else as Toaster Fire just takes the Blast Cone and gets himself nicely back towards the Krugs.
A bit of a cheeky play from Toaster Fire there. He playing around the back of the alcove. I actually don't think Mr. McCall saw him in his first pass by there, so he did manage to actually sneak away the Herald, and he was fairly low before he smited, so he might potentially have gone down by top side. They just keep going at it, Ajax and Skelly P, and that means that the jungles are constantly being drawn towards that top side to try and stop sort of craziness from happening.
Oh no, the net is mistimed, the damage, the summoner spells are not there, and that means Monomania will get dropped once again to Photography Raptor.
That Lantern almost dropping down as well, just barely getting away with about 20 health from Bad Driver. And here's the bit of the problem here for the side of Rebrand, because Band. It looks like in laning, they're just not the stronger laners. Mid lane, Real Madrid is up CS, but then again, his pick is sort of a bit of a counter here to Corki. Bot lane, Photography Raptor starting to pull a lead ahead. He's now 3-1-0 up in CS as well. Top lane, Skelly P. I'm going to call this an isolation because the junglers have been sort of spending equal amount of time in the top lane. Skelly P finding himself a lead as well. And we're starting to see a 2.5k lead come out here from kills in CS in the laning phase. Not a good start for Rebrand Kazban.
Yeah, definitely not something you want to see. Is actually we see Toaster Fire playing around the idea of going for a mid lane fight, pops the Q, but won't get much else from that. Just chooses to back away, and now it is just going to be the rest of the squad. Meanwhile, just moving around the rest of the map. Nobody else willing to commit to any crazy plays just yet.
Yeah, right now Toaster Fire is struggling a little bit. Where does he go to find gangs? A beautiful bind over the wall.
Oh no, there's the lockdown. The immediate curtain call comes out. Monomania's gotta dance around, but that 4-shot could be massive, and it is. Now in the mid lane, Real Madrid wants to get a kill onto Bubba Gums. They call the Ford God, goes out. They're trying to knock him out, but they miss it onto Mr. McCoss. Now in the middle of 3, the showstopper comes down. They're gonna knock him up. They're gonna push him around, and that is going to be the Vi going down. Toaster Fire picks up that one. It's a 1-for-1 across the map, but that is still not what you want to see if you Rebrand.
Yeah, they walk away with the kill in the mid lane, but beautiful stopwatch coming up from Bubba Gums to negate that. And now he might actually get caught out here.
Hex flashes, or just regular flashes available. A Toaster Fire will find them, pulls them back in. There's the Valkyrie, but the slow is there. The Haymaker will not land. They don't get much more damage off because of it. And so everyone else just backs off.
It was kind of close for both Toaster Fire and Bubba Gums there. Bubba Gums having to blow his flash, will not have that available for the next little while as well. And yeah, I mean, just really, really clutch right now in the mid lane. Both mid laners playing so well this series. Even though Bubba Gums did lose game 2, he still played extremely well. So I'm loving watching Real Madrid and Bubba Gums go at it again.
Yeah, definitely I'd say one of the more closer matchups in terms of skill we have in this game. So I want to see, can these guys kind of turn it back around, because Real Madrid, He is getting some good damage off, like you're talking about, but unfortunately for him, the rest of the map, the rest of the team around him is not doing as good as I think he'd like them to be. Now, Dragon will spawn in about 40 seconds, so that could be the point of contention, right? They do have the Ornn, they do have the Syndra, so they are a fairly decent team fighting team, right, when you consider all of it at the back end of it, but they are waiting for some pretty major cooldowns as they drop the Herald mid, and it looks like the call is going to be to move towards bot.
And Bubblegum's fancy feet right now. He has dodged out a lot of these stunts. Is taking a lot of...
Flashes burned, but nobody goes down. So, alright, we take it back. Dragon now spawning at 12 seconds away.
Yeah, and that Herald, I think, came out a little bit early. I didn't catch if it was about to time out, but unfortunately, it does go down before the Dragon spawn. So both teams can get ready for this, and there is a TP mismatch in the top lane. Ajax on the Ornn does not have teleport available.
Yeah, but instead, here we go. The pullback from Toasterfire onto Sad Lantern. The immediate Syndra ultimate will get negated by the Zhonya's, and now Bubblegums is here with a package, and they are trying to get down onto the set. Toasterfire gonna get dropped, and that means now they had the positioning, but they burned everything too soon. As now, actually, well, that's some huge damage coming out. Sad Lantern needs to run for his life, as the rest of the squad, meanwhile, just pulls back into the jungle for retreat. But that was a nice start. Binding lands again, but it's not going to mean much more damage. Dragon number 2 now in favor of Team the Lizard.
And that Lantern, the man, the myth, the monster. His stopwatch there did so much work. Cancelled out the unleashed power as well, and that kept him alive and might very well have turned the tides of the fight. Survived the sort of hiding in the bush as well. It did have to use the heal from Photography Raptor, but hey, man, he lived. He's 1-0-4, and he got so much out of that fight. And I mean, something like we talked a lot about his Tahm Kench, but his Morgana is looking pretty good here as well thus far. And so, that fourth shot, that dancing shot from Photography Raptor.
Yeah, he is getting very scary. The Jhin, 4-1-0. He's got already that eye edge. He's got the zeal. He's looking to get those crits into the tank. And that means he's going to be one scary sniper here in the bottom side, as the objectives so far going well for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. And it's got to be up to, like we've talked about, Rebrand cuz banned. They've got to pull something out in Toasterfire and Real Madrid. They've got to look for a play together at some point in the map. That's, to me, one of the only ways they come back into this one, as the rest of the map is not going very well for them.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and the other problem is the extended laning phase here. It's about 16.5 minutes. So the pace of the game actually, it feels like it's been shorter than that, but it's actually already 16.5 minutes, 9 kills between the two teams. And right now the laning phase just keeps going in the side of Dirty Diet Lizard. No turrets down means they continue this laning phase.
Oh, another huge binding onto the Caitlyn right there. Monomania is just trying to escape. Has to burn both his summoners. The exhaust gets used as well. They hit another one. Sad Lantern does not miss. Is now here comes in the mid lane. Assault and battery down onto Toasterfire. They're looking for some damage onto Bubblegums. Immediately they pop back around. Nobody else gets anything. The TP was, I think, used by Scully there, but they did get interrupted. It's now on the top side. It's another duel. It's another trade. Nobody else going to go for any more fighting, but aggression in the mid lane, exactly what we're asking for. Just not able to get the kill.
Teleport from Ajax, but they might find something anyways.
Oh, here we go. Showstopper in the back line. They will knock him up with the Call of Forge Gods. Gets the slow down, looking to chase out the Aatrox. Toasterfire does get pulled back around, but here comes Mr. McCoss. Now it's a 2v1 in the wrong side of the map. He's just trying to escape. Ajax on the run, but there's the chase down. The third hit will be there. Mr. McCoss picks up that one, and the scoreboard just looks worse and worse for Rebrand. 8-2 on the board, and they get the Rift Herald.
Ajax unfortunately just went charging into the wall in the alcove, or else he might have gone away. Just a smallest of mistakes there, and unfortunately will cost them a lot of damage as the Herald is picking up, and they're looking like they're going to go for a full 5-man. DDL has had enough of the laning phase. They're looking to end it on their turn.
Sad Lantern. Nobody's even helping him. They just say, you got that, right? You got it? Yeah, okay, cool, thanks. We're just going to take this turret over here and just keep pushing up towards the tier 2. They have a Rift Herald. Remember that. They just picked it up. This is the second Rift of the game, and they're looking Like, they want to just roll right up the top lane. They could potentially march this all the way into at least the inhibitor turret with the second Shelly. I mean, look at that. They still have Monomania and bot. They still have Real Madrid in the mid lane. Nobody else is back just yet. Well, all 5 members are up in this top side. They could just get this inhibitor turret, I think, almost for free, and they will. That is not what you want to see. Can they get the re-engage here coming out from the side of Rebrand? And it looks like the answer is no. Everyone just running for the hills.
After 17 minutes of basically silence here in terms of turrets, it's suddenly Dirty Dialysts are just bursting forward. 3 turrets in a row. That is the inhibitor exposing that top lane there. And Ajax is going to have a hell of a time trying to lane in that top side. There's no turrets for him to fall back on. He's not winning the 1v1 against Skelly P. This is going to be a huge problem right now for Rebrand, because they did manage to pick up 2 turrets, 1 in the mid lane, 1 in the bot lane. So in terms of turret goat, they're not too far behind, but just in terms of map pressure right now, they are so far behind. And Inferno coming up in about 30 seconds, Baron in about 20.
Yeah, and that's got to be the next point, right? If you are the side of Rebrand, because Ban, you'd like to be picking up these Inferno Drakes, right? It's going to be great for your Caitlyn, great for your Syndra. It is... Oh, that's a feels bad moment when Real Madrid picks or loses his blue buff to Sad Lantern, but you want to get these Inferno Drakes stacking. You need to get these Inferno Drakes, I think, if you're on their side, because you cannot afford an early soul going over to the side of Dirty Diet Lizard, right? If, just imagine this here, the next dragon becomes 26.5-ish minutes if they pick this one up at spawn. That is a dangerous proposition. Is now package gets used onto Real Madrid. He's going to get slowed up. The immediate flash forward. He hops back. The root is there, but it's not going to mean much more else from that, as they do force everyone else back away. But with that said, that is now pressure onto the dragon. That binding, if it had connected, that would have been disastrous. Look at that crit onto Monomania. Everyone else just forced to run for the hills right now, as so far it means Dirty Diet Lizard gets to start up onto the Drake. TPs are coming down around them. We'll have to see if the team fight gets forced. Here comes the call for it. God, Showstopper goes out. They will get the dragon, but at what cost? Because they've already lost the Morgana. The team fight seems to be going in the side of the red team, as they are just pushing them back. Skelly P trying to dive down onto Monomania, but there's the slow. He lands on a trap that is not too great. He gets picked off, shut down. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, onto Real Madrid, he picks off Photography Raptor, and just like that, the dragon goes over, but so many kills go down. They might actually look to push the mid lane on this. Bubblegum's just trying to clear the way for now, but everyone else just falling back.
Skelly P tried so hard. He got so far, but in the end, he could not reach Monomania there. Just the last Q, that last jump there. If it had landed, he would have at least found 1 instead. They end up losing 4, and Sad Lantern has to be a bit careful. He's really squishy here. If a single Scatter of the Weak lands, he could go down. They do manage to protect their inner turret, though, so that's good. And now, the thanks from Bubblegum.
TP's coming down once again. This is how we've been seeing this series play out. There's the unstoppable. Ajax is definitely dead. They don't get a counter stun. So meanwhile, now they overstay potentially from the side of Rebrand, because ban means that the rest of the side of Dirty Diet Lizard, they now get to push the mid lane. Scary Weak lands, nothing else doing. But overall, the forced TPs, the forced double TP actually coming out from that one. Bubblegums and Skelly both TP to that fight.
When the Scatter of the Weak lands,
Sad Lantern takes a lot of damage, pops the Zonias already. Bad Driver just trying to get out of dodge. Toasted Fire wants to pull somebody back, but instead they're not looking for the dive just yet. Everyone else backs away, and okay, another kill goes down towards the favor of Dirty Diet Lizard.
Bad Drivers barely survived with a sliver on their health bar. I think it was probably like less than 20 there. So close to going down. Does manage to get out, but now they're looking at that juicy exposed inhibitor in the top lane. It is past sort of the 20-minute mark here. Safe to take down that inhibitor. And if they do it, they will have so much pressure from minions here.
Yeah, Photography Raptor wanting to get some damage down. There's the slow looking for the binding. It will land onto Toaster Fire, but instead he will just back up for now. The inhibitor was looking pretty juicy, but instead it looks like the call is going to be to just move towards the mid lane. So let's talk about this, because now Corki, 2-0-2 at the 23-minute mark. He has hit his power spike. He's got it in, or Triforce. He's got that more amount of finish. This guy is looking for some fights.
For sure, and we've already seen how strong his poke was there with the his big one, when it goes off, stacking with that Trinity Force, it chunks and it can hit the whole crowd there. So their ability to siege is now online with the Jhin, with the Corki as well. And they're definitely looking really strong. Look across the Real Madrid. He's only really got the Luden's Echo, and he's got components. He built the Oblivion for the magic penetration, and he probably won't be looking to upgrade that anytime soon. The Morelos isn't going to give him that much. There isn't a ton of healing here on the side of DTL. Haunting Guys and Sork Boot. So he's looking for almost a straight penetration, straight amplification as well in these fights. So his items right now, a little scattered. Probably not as strong in the poke war. Definitely very, very high burst though. And then you look down to the ADCs. Monomania going for that Storm Razors here first. Only completed item. You look across the Photography Raptor, IE and Rapid Fire Cannon. And this has been the story of the series so far. The ADCs, Photography Raptor, always in the lead. And it's showing in these sort of team fights. And now the problem is they're already at soul point for DDL at, as you said, like what is that, 25 and a half, 26 minutes? They're racing towards soul here. And when that dragon comes up, suddenly they've got options. Do they want Baron or do they want soul? Either way, Rebrand Kazban has to go and meet them, has to go and fight them. And personally, I think soul is way more important. So I think the next big fight is going to happen in a minute, and it's going to happen around soul.
Yeah, I mean, that is a scary thought. Just the fact that Rebrand knows that the team fight has to happen. They know that there's no way around it. They've got to go for the fight. They've got to win the fight at that too, right? 48 seconds on the clock. The rest of the squad is already backing for these major items. We see Corki going back now. You'd expect to see him to pick up his, at least components of his next big item, as there goes the pickaxe. So not too surprising there, as the rest of the squad now grouping up around this dragon with 30 seconds to go. Vision control already pretty well established if you're on the side of Dirty Diet Lizard, whereas the rest of the squad from Rebrand Kazban has to push forward as a unit to get some vision down. But overall, now here we go. They are starting to move around the map together as this 4, maybe 5-man unit. TP coming down though from the side. You do see it. Ace in the hole gets used. That's a huge snare, though, onto the Ornn. Ajax just trying to come out. Call for Judge goes out. It will knock up just the Vise. Now the rest of the squad trying to re-engage. Skelly P wants to go into the backline. Valkyrie goes right down through it all, but instead he goes onto Monomania immediately. It's a double kill for the Corki, looking for the triple. The Jin's going to pick up that one. Toaster Fire can't even get anything. The immediate wipe, the clean ace from the side of Dirty Diet Lizard means they not only get to pick up the soul, they can pick up the Baron as well, and it just goes from bad to worse for Rebrand Kazban.
I want to point out the way that fight started here. Dirty Diet Lizard had the inside track. They had about a good maybe 15 seconds alone with the dragon. They did not start it. The call, and it was a beautiful call, was to find the kills first. So they find the kills, they get the Infernal, and they get the Baron as well. They send Bubblegums and Photography Raptor up early to start this one off here. So they get everything on the map. They're now up 10 kills. They're up a Baron. They're up a Soul. They're up, what, 10K at 2650. This is the biggest gold lead I think we've seen this series. And now Dirty Diet Lizards is ready to close this one out with an exposed inhibitor in the top lane. They can go for that 1-3-1 split push.
I mean, who needs to count to 4 when you can just count to 10 instead? I mean, looking at it across the map, yeah. Dirty Diet Lizard looking like they want to close this one out very quickly. They've got the Baron buff, they've got the soul, they've got the items rather. I mean, looking at it here, Stormrazor just got finished by Photography Raptor. The guy's on his 3-item spike before Monomania even finished 2. I mean, if that doesn't speak to how fed this Jhin is, I don't know what to tell you right now, as he just absolutely clears the minion wave. Sad Lantern, though, in a bit of a weird spot, almost gets picked off by Real Madrid, as right now they are just pushing up, as that could potentially slow down the pace of the push right now.
That's right.
Oh, here we go. Call the Forge God goes out. There goes the suplex, the haymaker. The damage is there. Ace in the hole will not pick up the kills. Instead, it is just the shutdown onto Toaster Fire, but not what you wanted to see if you're a Dirty Diet Lizard.
Yeah, I mean, they get the kill, but they're about to lose the bot lane inner turret. They're about to lose that the inhibitor itself in that top side as well. And they're going to lose Real Madrid.
Oh, Real Madrid actually pops the ultimate. It's a trade. The draw on the top side is now Skelly P trying to run out to that one. Does get the slow up, as now Ajax, actually that terrain working against his favor, forces the flash out. Bad Driver pops the Mantra shield, but not going to be able to get much more from it. as the rest of the squad now just sieging up in the mid lane. But off of that, they split up and they actually lose pressure off of their Baron. They don't get the inhibitor. They trade for a bottom lane tier 2. Not what they were hoping for, I think, at the end of the day.
Nope. I think actually Rebrand because Ban actually get up ahead of that. The top inhibitor didn't actually go down, and they get the sort of bounties here sitting on both Photography Raptor and Bubblegums. And I didn't expect Real Madrid to be able to do that to Bubblegums there, but he picks up a 600 gold bounty. And so Real Madrid, again, sitting pretty this game for his team, but he has to carry his entire team. He's got the most CS in the game. He's got a ton of damage, and I think, no, he doesn't have the highest gold in the game, but pretty close. And he's got to basically put his team on his back for now, get them to that 6-item point where the gold lead doesn't matter as much, and when Monomania starts becoming that late-game 6-item Caitlyn that can just rip through a front line.
Yeah, that's what you're hoping for, but it might take a little while for them to get there. All 5 members grouped up in the mid, just trying to make sure they can catch these waves before Skelly P pushes in the top lane too hard. They probably will have to give up this tier 2. I don't see any way where they keep it alive. Photography Raptor, had he gotten hit, that might have been a go sign from the stun, but instead they back up for now. And with that inhibitor staying up there, nobody being able to close it out just yet, that is a little bit of a worrying sign. You'd like to see the side of Dirty Diet Lizard break open the base here if that's how they're going to end the game. But actually, look at this. Huge flag from Toasterfire. I don't think they realize this, and now the rest of the squad moving up towards the top side. There goes the pink ward. Here comes the call to Forge God. They're going to just re-engage onto the rest of the squad in the jungle, but they've all grouped up to the top side. Suplex goes up to the top side, but it doesn't even matter. Toasterfire is already gone. Bad Driver in a rough spot, as this might have been the overcommit for the fight that causes them to lose the game. Real Madrid going to go down next. It's a triple kill for the Corki. They might want to chase this all the way to the base. The snipe from downtown from Photography Raptor. He picks up that one. They get to push through the top side, and this is going to be game, set, match for the side of Dirty Diet Lizard.
And this game 3 looks so one-sided from Dirty Diet Lizard. If this was the only game you caught out of the series, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like DDL is the clear-cut better team. But the reality isn't the case. And Sad Lantern diving the fountain here. They want kill.
Are they going to let him die? Oh, they didn't let him die. What a game. Yeah, definitely agree. If you only saw this one, trust us when we tell you, ladies and gents, the rest of the series was a little bit more close. But unfortunately for the side of Rebrand cuz banned, not the case for game number 3.
Rebrand because ban, unfortunately, with this will now fall into the lower half of Division 1. They will have all teams have a sort of a bye week next week to sort of get ready for the second half of the split. And to be fair to Rebrand because ban, they might be sitting at the bottom half, but they're looking not too shabby here. And they actually have the potential to climb the top side. You have to remember they're playing against CDL, who is currently sitting at sort of first place a little bit as well. So they're tied with a whole bunch of other teams for first, but they are sitting at first. So if this is the sort of fight that RCB can put up, they've got a pretty good chance of making it into playoffs if they can keep this level of play up.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was signs of life, right? We saw moments of greatness. We saw moments of, aha, that is a team that can coordinate. That is a team that can look to do some things. I mean, Real Madrid, definitely the best guy on the roster, I think, hands down. We saw phenomenal performances from him. We saw him really trying to do what he can. All 3 games, the guy had at least one play where he made something happen. I think it's now up to the rest of the roster to start figuring out how they should be playing or how they play around those types of advantages, because you have a winning lane. You definitely have somebody that you can play around, and that is something to think about when you play in a league like this, right? When you play in this level of competition, so to speak, it is something where pick your carry, play around him, hope that he can carry the game out through it. I mean, but with that said, let's take a look at Dirty Diet Lizard, because those guys definitely had a very strong showing today.
And Dirty Diet Lizard has a very, very clear identity. They know exactly where they want to play through. Photography Raptor was an absolute monster this series, and Sad Lantern as well. I believe Sad Lantern did not play the first half of this, or the first quarter of the split so far. So this, I think, is his 2nd series back. And that man is a monster on Tahm Kench. Even the Morgana, his black shields were on point as well. Not to mention the Dark Binding, snaring target after target after target. I believe he denied 2 Call of the Forged Gods by trapping Ajax so that he couldn't get the second half of it on. So their bot lane is rock solid, and Bubblegum's in that mid lane. that was beautiful to watch in Game 1 and Game 3 when he went head-to-head against Real Madrid. That was just... I know we didn't talk about the mid lane a lot, but that was because they were so even, and there wasn't a ton of kill potential because both of them were just weaving around. Their CS2 was also fairly even, and if Bubba Gumps gets ahead, well, with Photography Raptor almost being guaranteed to be ahead, DDL was able to win through both those lanes, and you can't exactly say their jungle and top are weak either. Mr. Mercos was everywhere in the early game. There's just nowhere you could run away from him. And Skelly P might not have been super dominant on the Aatrox, but he was ridiculously hard to kill too. So he soaked up a lot of pressure from Toaster Fire there. Excuse his poor game on Soraka. I think as long as he's not on a squishy champion, he's A-okay. And I think DDL are looking really solid and a very, very firm contender for that top spot right now.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is, if there is any lesson to be learned for DDL here coming out of this one, it's that maybe we reconsider the Soraka top, right? Maybe you reconsider trying to do the full-on, hey, we're just going to play around, pick 2 supports and play around double 80 carry. The idea works, but obviously different champions are different ways you play around that team composition. A bit of a weird draft coming out for game number 2. Definitely could have been played out differently had they kind of drafted, I think, a little bit better of a composition. But with that said, I will throw this to you, Random Minion Caster here. Who do you give your MVP to for this series?
There's so many people you could give it to, but personally, I think I would actually give my MVP to the losing team, and it'd be to Real Madrid, because that man was a monster all 3 games. When you've got the most damage in the game, when you get the most gold on the game on a losing team, well, I think you deserve a bit of a prize there, because the man was a monster. So my MVP vote goes to Real Madrid.
I definitely agree with you there. I think the guy had a wonderful performance. You know, you can't take away anything from the way he played the map out today. On the other side, if we had to pick one from the winning team, I do say Photography Raptor would get my vote. But yeah, overall, a great series to watch from both of these squads here. Definitely one that if you are other teams playing in this league, if you're other teams playing in this division, you know, things you can take away from both sides. I think if you watch DDL, if you're playing DDL, you kind of know, all right, bottom lane is where the focus is. If you're playing against Rebrand because banned, you definitely want to make sure Real Madrid does not get that far ahead in these matches. So with that said, any final thoughts for the day here, Random Minion Caster, before we close out the stream?
I mean, great series from both teams. Looking very much forward to seeing them, especially in the playoffs. So best of luck to both teams, and thanks to everybody who's watching. Really appreciate, seems a bit of an active chat today. Loved it and hope to see more of you guys in chat.
Yeah, definitely always fun to see you guys interacting in there. Always a good time. But for those of us here on the broadcast, we want to say thank you very much. Thank you to Random Minion Caster, my co-caster. Once again, my name, Kyler Keita Tandel, and of course, the man who needs no introduction, but hey, we send him the greatest love because as a fellow producer, I know exactly how this feels. You always shout out your producer, ladies and gentlemen. So of course, Caster Mikey holding it down behind the scenes here. Huge shout out to you. But for those of us here on the broadcast, we want to say thank you for joining us. Congratulations to Dirty Diet Lizard for taking the series 2-1, but that will close out our stream. GG and good night, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
Take a moment right here, feeling like it's out gear, driving towards the sun with a rose and a gun. Feel the wind in my hair, going nowhere I swear, like an outlaw.